Gearing up for war, don't get it mixed up. I come in peace, kid. I'm bringing commentary and the new releases. I put them hours in to get prepared now. We play on expert level, don't be scared now. I'ma destroy you when I'm forced, I can tear it down. If you ain't tuned into the channel, keep your head down. Cut the fix up with some Xbox babies, put the switch up. See me gearing up for war, don't get it mixed up. I come in peace, kid. I'm bringing commentary and the new releases. I put them hours in to get prepared now. We play on expert level, don't be scared now. I'ma destroy you when I'm forced, I can tear it down. If you ain't tuned into the channel, keep your head down.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to The Fix. You're joined with me, Infinite Umbra. I see you guys in the chat, and my co-host, Daniel McGee.
Hello, everybody.
Oh, that was a pause right there.
Oh, sorry. I might have a slight delay. I had to
Okay.
turn my PC back on when I got here.
Okay. And we are joined by two great community members and content creators in Epic Treasure.
Hello, I hope you're good.
Indeed. And our brother C Money, who me and Danny formerly met on Boom's podcast this past week on the Xbox Factor. C Money.
Yes. Hello.
Yes.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Thank you for being here with us. We're gonna do what we little housekeeping. I'm gonna ask you guys a few questions, of course, of what you've been up to and things of that nature. For the chat, if you just to throw it out there, I don't like to say it too often, but since you guys are here, we do appreciate you. What's up, Aaron? I see you, brother. Eric, what's up? Eric Reed was here actually the other day in anticipation, so I appreciate you, Eric. And since you guys are here, please hit the like button, and if you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. You get the incentive of seeing your name pop up on the screen, so do it for your vanity, if nothing else. So as you can see, I got some gameplay on the screen. I'll say a little bit about what I've been doing. I've been playing a bunch of things. This right here was Atlas. This is Atlas Fallen right here. Yeah.
How that? I saw the sand surfing. I tried to get my friend to play it, but he's like, no. But I'm like, co-op. As soon as I see co-op, I want to do it. But
if you get it on
so much to
Xbox,
do.
hit me up. I'll join in with you. We could play some. I was going to play some with my brother Magbound. We haven't got a chance to yet, but I still will play some with him. I was going to play some with Jedi Knight Peter, and we didn't get a chance to do that. Oh, there we go. And thank you for subscribing. And yeah, I hadn't got a chance, so I was just trying to warm up to it and get accustomed and acclimated to it. But it's pretty fun once you get more into it and you learn the combat and the way to move and things like that. It's actually pretty solid. I will say though, it does have a bit of that Forspoken vibes to it, just because of the gauntlet you talk to, like she did with that bracelet thing, and the surfing. The movement feels like it too, because you're surfing around, and she had that freestyle kind of running and stuff, you know. Oh, see, Risky just said it. Yeah. Risky just said it.
He's got the fist, doesn't he? It's like a fist.
Yeah, so he's got different weapons. So he has like a fist. Eventually, I haven't gotten to that one yet, but you get the hammer, you get a sickle, and you get like a whip that you can use to like pull yourself to him. Yeah, it's pretty dope.
Like the whip and the sickle in that sounds nice.
Exactly. And
hammer.
And once you get like more combat abilities and stuff like that, it opens up much more. All right, right here you see I'm getting used to it and such. And the more combos you hit them with, the bigger your weapons and the wider spread it starts to go.
Damn, okay.
Yeah, then you do a special right here. You're going to actually see it in a second, where I'm going to hit that special right there.
Can you change the can you zoom in, or like it stays at that?
Yeah, it stays at this. Now I haven't messed with the settings too much to know that if you can pull it closer or not. I haven't done that. I did mess with the chromium settings and things like that because it was a little off looking to me as far as the color and such. But other than that, yeah, I haven't really fiddled with it. But it's a pretty fun game. You know, they have it at $60. I'm not paying $70 for a game. I don't know if you all know my stance on that, but I refuse to pay $70. But it is good. Yeah, that's my stance, man. I stick with it. But enough of me. Let's move on to our guests. Epic, what have you been up to, my lovely friend? And what have you been playing?
Boy, howdy. This week, Gears 1, Gears 2, Gears Judgment, and started Gears 3. It has been wild. So we're moving through all of those in co-op.
Is this your first time playing them or no?
No, I played it. And we had a look at my achievements. It was 2000 and I think one of them was 2010, I think.
Oh, man.
And I'm like, I don't remember any of this stuff. So it was all new to me because I've got a terrible memory. But there were so many collectibles that I just didn't have. And, I guess it's sort of wishful thinking to get all these redone again before like a trilogy or something. Yeah. The Phoenix Collection thing or something comes out, I guess
your first time through it?
Yeah.
Not my first time through it. This is depends on 3. I've played that. Maybe this will be the third time. Gears.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, we're gonna do 4 and then 5, but I played 5 a few times. But
Mm.
yeah, I played it so many years ago. I just don't remember any of the stuff that really happened.
I get it. I get it. It's been a while, but what would you say is your favorite in the series? I don't want to say trilogy because the trilogy would have to be
2
3 for me, but 2 is your favorite?
Well, you know what I thought that 3 was before, because I have such like a nostalgic connection with the horde mode with that, and
Yeah.
that's where I met, one of my best friends, and then when we played through and played 2, I'm like, that's just so great. My God, I just totally forgot how incredible that game is. So, for nostalgia 3, but for story we'll go 2. Lock it in. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, 2 had some great moments as well. Some really sad moments. It's kind of
Yeah.
funny
Oh, man.
for it to be this shooter.
That was a crazy one.
It was, right? But part
Mm.
3 had them too. For this to be this kind of crazy bro shooter, it actually had a lot of impactful emotional moments, I think.
Out of heart, bro.
Yeah, man. It definitely did.
Like Dom, man. Come on. That
Oh,
moment.
man.
That was like the buildup of a lifetime, bro. When that shit happened, I was like, no.
Man, see money when it happened, my heart
why?
broke. I was sitting there, I had tears coming out my
Yo.
eyes just about. I was like,
Yo,
no.
it was so sad.
Yeah, man. Then they played the Mad World, which called back to part 1, the trailer we had for it and all of that.
Yep.
And, oh man, it kicked it. When I saw
The
him
best
drive
trailer
back,
ever.
it's one of the best of all time, no question. The only ones that compete to
Absolutely.
me are like the Halo Believe trailers. That's about it. But
Well, those are dope.
yeah. So like a legendary commercial. And I heard the music kick in. I'm like, doo, 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 doo. I'm like, no, the hell you all don't. I'm like, and I'm like, no, Dom, don't you do it. And Marcus is like, Dom, rusty voice, Dom. I'm like, oh, they not don't tell me they're
You
gonna
were
do what I
punching
think.
that controller.
Man, I was so sad. It was me and my my cousin playing it. Both of us were just quiet after that. Like so I had the first player, so I'm playing with Marcus, by the way. So he's like, who am I gonna play as after this now? So
Well, it was a good game. Guess I'm done here.
yeah, exactly. That about wraps up that story. But yeah, so okay, yeah. I do love the Gears series. We got to get back to that. I hope that part 6, by the way, I hope that it is as great as part 2 or 3, and honestly 5. I liked 5 a lot. I think 5 doesn't get the love it deserves personally. 4 was okay.
Did you skip 4, bro?
4 was okay.
Did you skip 4?
It was okay.
Did you skip
Four's
4?
fine.
It
It was okay.
4 was fine, bro. You put 4 on right now,
Yeah.
and it is just as stunning. It looks like
it's gorgeous.
it belongs today.
No question. It's gorgeous. It's one of the most
Such a
gorgeous
banger.
Unreal Engine games, no question. And I think though, just
Coalition
the
is the
way they
shit
put
with
the
that, man.
no question. But when you go by the campaign, I think part 5 is just better campaign wise. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
part 5 was a nice change of pace too. They
Mhm.
they stretched their legs a little bit, made it a little different. But
yeah.
it's definitely dope for sure. 6 has to be great. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
I don't see they're taking so
It
much
will be.
time. This is the longest that they've ever taken
Mhm.
to make a Gears game
I'll say,
outside of probably
give them all the
first one.
time
I
they
don't know
need.
how
The
long.
beautiful part about us having all these studios now is that they can take their
Yep,
time.
no
now.
rush,
So,
man.
Absolutely. So I'm hoping that is
Yep.
the case. But moving on to
Well, they
you,
also
C Money,
been
brother.
going open
What
up
what have you
already.
been up to, and what have you been playing?
Oh man, I have been sunk into Baldur's Gate 3. And I did not anticipate it. It was not part of the plan. Actually, if you look back at my tweet somewhere, I probably said I wasn't gonna get it. But then the FOMO got real, man. Everybody was just they was talking so much about it and getting all these great reviews, and I'm hearing these anecdotal stories of, somebody getting killed and then bringing them back to life and then gaslighting them, making them believe that they actually saved them and now they're like indebted to them. I was like, yo, that is crazy. Like that just sounded so dope. So yeah, I'm in it, man, and that's where I'm living right now. I'm very much like I will dabble in a lot of different games if I don't have something that's like really calling me. You know what I'm saying? Like I if it's not like
I get that.
demanding me to play it again, right? Then I'll just jump around, play different stuff. But like once I get a game that just kind of hooks me, I just can't think about playing anything else, and that's where I'm at right now. Like it's just I need to play this, and I know Starfield is coming, so like I have to either get as far as I can with this or beat it before Starfield comes out, because no matter what, Starfield will be played. the day it comes out.
See,
I'm converting over. So
now that's the thing for me. So you playing BG3 now. The FOMO hasn't quite caught me simply because I know that if I invest in that game, man, that's 200 plus hours of my life gone right there. And how can I try to?
But it'll be
that?
a great. It'll be so worth it. Even if you don't finish the game, man. All the stories, like I tell you, like I honestly I didn't think I was gonna care for the game. But what really pushed me over was somebody compared it to Wasteland 3, which I loved.
I hadn't get back. I gotta get back to that and finish that.
Epic did not love. Yeah, it was it's so good. It's no, she doesn't. But it's like it's just like the combat, it's turn-based, but like the storytelling, the
animations for the characters,
the quality of the storytelling. The characters, like everybody's interesting. They're always putting you in interesting scenarios, things that you think are gonna go one way, like turn out a completely different way. Like I walked up on these people that were like their man was like dying, and it was like a guy and a girl with him, and I guess they were all siblings. And you have like this power or something, and you get next to him, and the guy who's dying has like a similar power, so you could like connect with them. And he told them that like I'm the chosen one, so be like nice to me, right? Like follow me, like be cool with me. So I'm like, okay. So we talk a little more. I'm like, what are you guys doing out here? And he's like, oh, we're looking for the people who crashed on the ship. I'm like, well, I came from that ship, and they were like, kill this man, and they just like flipped on me. Like,
wait a minute, why would you tell on yourself though?
We were gonna be friends.
Well, why would you tell on yourself though? Like, well, I happen to come from that ship. Oh, did you now? The person we happen to be looking for is you.
I thought they were like, but they didn't say it in a way like I wanted to kill this man.
I see.
It sounded like they were searching for them, like to help them. They were saying like the absolute, like their God told them to do it.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the? I was like, well, so much for that.
Yeah, you fell for the
like,
old.
That's what I'm saying. Like shit like that. It's crazy.
Oh, we're looking for this wayward person who fell from the ship. Our Lord told us to go and seek them out. You're like, oh well, I came from that. Murder him.
Yo, I swear to God, that's how quick it happened, dude. I was like, what? Well, like, I thought we were all gonna be friends right now, bro. Like, what took place?
You're going to be a sacrifice to their God. That's what you were going to be. Yeah.
And like that's not the only story. Like there's mad stories similar, like not that exact one, but like each story, like each scenario that puts you in, you just have like
you know what?
Something that comes from it. You know what I'm saying?
Johnny Ravioli said chill with the spoilers, bro. Now that's the opening, so I don't think he gave too much away.
I mean, this is I'm not too far into it, but like that's just like, and it's a side quest. You might not even stumble upon it. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not even a quest. I just happen to turn a corner that they happen to be in. But But yeah,
that's
talk more about it. I'm just
we'll get into it. We'll get into that talk
like
more.
That. It's dope.
Yeah, I definitely want to get more of your thoughts on it when we get to that discussion, that part of the discussion. So, yeah, I'm glad you're liking it. I will say the game is beautiful, like from what I've seen, man. I'm going to play some of that when we talk on the subject as well. But it is a gorgeous looking game, man, for sure. So, yeah, man, that's interesting. But like I said, I will get into it, just not right now. For me, it's going to stick to Atlas Fall and maybe some Halo. Stuff that I can kind of just.
Are you gonna hit Starfield though?
Absolutely, that's why I'm waiting for. So like I'm biding my time.
Oh, dude, then you ain't never gonna see Baldur's Gate.
That's what I said. Like
it's never gonna happen.
Yeah, that's what I said, man. Like I could easily get it on my PC.
Xbox sometime next year.
True,
bro. Next year we're gonna have so many new games. Like, how are you gonna stop to go play BG3? Like you're always gonna say, man, I can't play this 200-hour game. Fable's about to come out, or Hellblade's about to come out.
I put off Red Dead 2 forever after I got it for exactly that reason. I was like, it's so long, I'll never have time. And then I finally got around to it. I'm like, oh, this is actually really good. Hey, guess what? People was right. This game's good.
Yeah, Red Dead 2 is a masterpiece. So absolutely. But
it is.
I feel you on that though. But like I feel like I could easily get it on PC and play it right now. But I feel like I'll wait to get my achievements and such on Xbox. It is what it is. I'll get around to it.
That's true. I feel that. I feel that. I forgot it's not on Xbox.
Not yet.
My bad.
No. We'll get into that talk too.
On PC right now.
True. It's not anywhere yet, just yet. But we'll get more into that talk of that too, because I do want to ask you all something on that. Speaking of which is a little bit contentious depending on how you feel about it. But just want to give a shout out to Vinny for the 99 cents. Vinny never quite gives the full $1, does he, Danny?
He'll give it to us when we earn it.
Yeah, he gives us the percentile of it. Yeah. Yeah, thank you, Vinny. He gave a he
You're
put
99% greatness.
yeah,
Almost there.
exactly.
We're almost there.
Vinny posted the peach, so I'm guessing he's talking about Matt Booty. So thank you, Vinny, for that donation.
Booty.
And just want to give a shout out to everybody in the chat again. Thank you for being here. What up, Mr. Joanna Dark, brother? I see you. Risk It for the Biscuit, Jedi Knight Peter, Mac Bound. I see you all. Of course, Vinny.
My lovely doodles in there.
A doodle. My brother, my little nephew. Truly, I call him nephew. Telos Ray. Thank you all for being here. Fuzzy, I see you, brother. I think. Yeah. So, Danny, what have you been up to, brother? What have you been playing?
So first of all, am I still on like delay a little bit? Because let's try and get that sorted out before anything else.
No, you sound perfect.
Was there like an awkward gap before I started talking?
Nah,
No,
you're
you're
pretty good.
good.
Nope.
Okay, because a lot of the times when I stopped talking, there was like a weird gap, and so I was like, I don't know what's going on.
You know what? I think there might
I
be
didn't know if I needed to,
just
like,
a
drop
slight
out.
delay. Now that you say that, just a
Okay.
slight one. Yeah.
I'll drop out and see if that fixes it.
Okay.
Oh man, he dropped out real quick.
Yes,
And he came back real quick.
yeah. I could tell it was a slight one because when I said it,
Yeah, it's weird.
yeah.
Well, because it says
there you
my voice connecting is at like, it's got like yellow bars right now, which it doesn't usually, and I don't know why it's doing that.
okay.
So
Yeah. Well, hopefully it
I
works
don't
the rest of the way. Let's see. But yeah, what have you been up to this week, brother, or at least these few days, and what have you been playing?
yeah, so I just got back from work, and I was coming in really hot. I'm usually here like in the green room 40 minutes, 30 minutes early, just working on, pulling any last minute stories, doing stuff like that. But I came in literally 4 minutes before the show started today because at work today we started. If you don't know, I work at an upscale sort of retail place, right? It's all like fancy ass clothes, right? We got like $6,000 ski suits. We've got dresses that are anywhere from like $600 to $3,000. We got $500 shoes. Like everything there's really, really expensive. Like our clientele are the kind of people who do not know that inflation is happening right now, right? Like that's what we're talking about. And today we started our tent sale, which is we do this twice a year to clear out all of the old like last season stuff because nobody wants to buy last season stuff. You look like a damn fool, right?
Right.
According to these people. So we started this tent sale, and but literally we just put a bunch of like academy tents that you would see at like a cookout or something, or like a tailgate out in front of the store, and we put a bunch of clothes in it. And guess who drew the short stick for who got to stand outside with those clothes for 8 hours today?
Oh wow.
Oh,
That's unfair.
damn.
It was your boy me. So
That sucks hard.
So I'm out there just sweating through every article of clothing I've ever got. My boss actually was like, "Hey man, you sweat through your shirt. Here's another shirt from the inventory. You can just wear this." And then I sweat through that, and he's like, "Bro, you can just have that." So I got like a free $300 shirt. So that's pretty nice. It
that's
is
dope.
gonna need
It's
some
worth
pretty
it.
good
Bump.
a good washing before I can wear it again. But I'm out there and just like, it's like 100. I'm in Texas, if you didn't know. It's like 107 degrees today. We got some fans out there, but they're not helping.
No,
We had
sir.
a snow cone like food truck there. It's like a block party, right? Like we had a food truck there for like normal food, and there was like people there to paint the kids' faces, and we had live music and all this stuff. Like it was great. Like it's a fun time.
Right.
But it's more fun when you get to go inside.
I bet.
So that was my day. I had to take a sink bath before I sat down because
you know what we
I
call that,
smelled-
right? You know what we
a homeless man's bath. I don't know, something.
close. They call it hoe baths.
Oh my
That's
God.
pretty much what it was. Yeah. I smelled like one. Let me tell you. I mean, I got back. I sat down because I had to turn my PC on because I had turned it off after I recorded something the other day, and I for the first time like really started like could actually like smell myself a little bit, and I was like, I smell like the reason Hidden Valley Ranch is hidden. Like I smell like a ranch hand at a cockroach farm. Like I smell bad.
That's a
Oh,
I've been
dear.
out.
that's a
all
special
day.
type of smell. Ranch hand at a cockroach farm.
That's what I'm saying.
Those are very descriptive smells.
Yeah.
I can feel like I can actually smell those.
Yeah,
You know what
yeah.
I'm saying?
Thank you.
Yeah, he gave us
No,
very.
I was smart. Like I knew that I was gonna be out there today, so I had like all the sunscreen on and everything. Forgot my my sunglasses, so I was squinting all day. But otherwise, it was just a day. and guess what? Guess who gets to do it for the rest of the weekend? That's me. That's your boy me.
Oh,
Friday,
gosh.
Saturday,
Nice.
Sunday, doing the same thing again.
How hot is it?
Nice.
How hot
It
is
was
in Texas?
107 today, and
Oh,
it's gonna be.
no,
I
Good
think
luck.
Saturday it's supposed to be like 110.
See,
So-
I
Jesus
I
Christ.
despise the summer. I've told you all this before. I despise the summer. I prefer the
Yeah.
fall and even the winter. I'll take.
Yep.
And we were talking about this before the show in the green room, me and C Money and Treasure, but I just can't deal with it. 100 and what? How much was it again? 107.
107.
Yeah.
Well, it was
I
100
couldn't do it.
It was 107 degrees, but it's one of those ones where it's like it's 107, but it feels like the surface of the sun or whatever. You know, those kind of days.
No, 107 is the surface of the sun to me, bro.
It's not good.
I swear.
That is so hot, bro. I
You
need
go
to be
past the
indoors.
double digits, you may as well just hang it up for me. I'm just done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I don't even want to see the number 9. You know what I'm saying? Like
I swear.
Yeah.
like F that.
Yeah.
Mm-mm. I ain't about
There
that
were
life.
salespeople coming out to like give back like the go backs because I was the one putting them out on the shelves because nobody else wanted to be outside. And they were bringing stuff out and they'd walk out and be like, "It's hot out here," and I'd be like, "Really? You think?
You don't say.
That's crazy. I'm fine actually. I'm doing great."
Hey,
But no, other
listen.
than that,
Yeah.
all I've been doing this week is I started playing Marvel's Midnight Suns,
Okay, nice.
which
Oh, nice.
I don't like.
Oh, you don't like
I
it?
don't like it at all.
Oh,
Not even a
nice.
little bit. I
Did
think
you-
it's quite awful. Actually,
Did you get it on sale? Because they had a sale going
Wow.
for that.
I did. I got it on sale. It's the only reason I got it. Well, I got it. I got it because on Twitter constantly I'm seeing people being like, "Hey, Lord Cognito, thanks for putting me on to Marvel's Midnight Sun. It's so good. It's great." And I was like, okay, maybe there's something here. Maybe this, because I looked at it, when the
Yeah.
trailers were coming out, and I was like, I don't think this is for me. And I was right, and I should have stuck with my guns. I was 100% on board with that one. It only cost me $20, so I'm not that put out. But it's not good. Like all the character models are ugly. I think it is for every single character in the game. I think it is the worst possible representation of them.
Oh,
Like, I
wow.
think
Damn.
you could find children's drawings that look better than the way Spider-Man's suit looks in that game.
Man.
Uh,
Shit.
Like they are.
Damn.
Sony
really
made them
ugly.
do that. I blame Sony
I
for
do,
it.
baby.
Oh,
The voice
just blame
acting is
Sony
like-
in general
Yeah.
for everything
Yeah.
bad.
The voice acting is well, okay. So the like arenas look fine, right? Like
Mhm.
it's just pretty normal. They're a little boring because they're all flat. Like coming from Firaxis, this is really weird because all the XCOM games have like all this different verticality and you're like,
Mhm.
getting your snipers up high and doing all this tactical stuff. The tactical level of Marvel's Midnight Suns is almost entirely RNG, which is not cool. It basically comes down to you only get a squad of 3, which I think is way too few. And then let's say, so you draw a couple of cards each turn, but if you don't draw a card for like Captain Marvel, then she doesn't get to move this turn. Like she just doesn't get to do anything. And so she's just going to get beat up because there's
Wait, so
It's
so it
so
is card based. I forgot
Yeah.
about that.
it's
so you
card
have-
based and
so you have to pull a
Oh,
card.
That's why I knew I wouldn't like that.
Oh
I
wow,
feel you now.
that's kind of crazy. So you
Um,
just stand there, you can't do anything with the character if you don't pull anything for them.
Yeah, if you don't draw, well, you can still move them, but you only get you have 3 characters, you get 1 move, right? So you can only
Oh.
move 1 character per turn because normally when you play a card that does like an attack, they move to do that attack. And so you get one other like just free move to get them, I don't know, into different positioning or like if there's an area effect that you don't want to be in the middle of, then you can move out of that. And so like there is a lot of like potential there, but they just don't really do anything with it because the arenas are basically the only strategy of the game that seems to really do anything is there's a feature called knockback, which is just you hit somebody really hard and they go flying, and so then you hit somebody so that they fall into somebody else, right? And so then you're hurting 2 people with one thing, or you can knock them back so that they're flying into a barrel and the barrel explodes. Like knockback
see.
is the entire game. Like it feels more like you're playing pool than you're actually doing any kind of tactical combat.
Oh shit.
Well, you got
Which
somebody
is-
in the
like,
chat.
it's
You
not
had
terrible.
what's his name? Let me look it up too. I just passed through it. So you got Lucius Augustus, our brother Lucius. What's up, Lucius? He says, as you get deeper, you have far more control, and you also have to get into the relationship dynamics. Did you get into
I've been getting
any
into
of
the
that?
relationship dynamics. I'll
Yeah.
give you that. Those are also pretty awful because the voice acting is really bad. So like really, really bad, which is a shocker because the cast on the voice acting is amazing. You've got like
Yeah.
Matt Mercer, there's like a Laura Bailey in there,
I see.
Steve Bloom. Like you've got big
Got
name people,
legends.
but it
Yeah.
feels like they were just
Wow.
like, well, that's the first take. We're gonna take every single first take, and the person is just like, I was just literally reading it. Like Laura Bailey plays Magic, who, if you know from comics, is like a Russian mutant who has a sword and she comes from hell or something. It's a long story. And she's a really interesting character. Worst Russian accent I've ever heard in a video game.
I am here, comrade.
It feels like they walked in and they were like, hey, can you do a Russian accent? And she said, no. And they're like, cool.
We'll do it
Laura Bailey's an
anyway.
extremely talented voice actor. Like,
Oh,
she
Laura
could
Bailey
for
is one of
sure
the
do
legends. No
better.
question. Yeah.
But she does not do well here. And like, there's a whole in the XCOM games, which I bring up only because this is by Firaxis who made those games. There's this whole base layer where you're like upgrading your base and you're building up all these things and doing all this research, and that still exists, but it's extremely limited in a way that like doesn't really matter. Because like instead of like you still have research, but none of the research really seems to do anything important. Like there's ones that you can get a new suit for your main character, or there's ones where like, oh, now when you open up a pack of cards, because you open up a pack of cards after every mission to get new like cards to
Rules
put in
and
your deck
such
for
and
each new
attacks.
person.
Okay.
And it's like now instead, because when you open, here's the other thing: when you open a pack of cards, it's got 4 cards in it. You can only keep one, so you have to choose one and then throw the rest away, which is really stupid.
Oh, okay.
But there's like an upgrade, so you can choose to keep 2, and like so there are ones that like do something, but it's just I don't know, it's just so repetitive and boring in the worst possible way. And then there's this the relationship level that he's talking about is you get better like partner situations with the other characters, because so you have your own self-insert character who's really terrible, and he's voiced by Matt Mercer, but you wouldn't know it because it sounds like just like Chuck from the Shops is doing the voice, like he's just some dude.
Yeah.
And I mean, you can tell it's Matt Mercer.
The
but
big
also-
Cognito is crying.
The big takeaway from
Cog
this
is
is
crying right now for some reason.
You're not liking this. That's the gist.
No,
of
I'm not liking it at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
No,
I could go
he's
on
hating it.
for a long time. I can stop it if you want to move on.
Yeah,
but
I
there's-
think we
yeah,
get it.
there's a
You
lot
know,
of-
it's funny
it's
though,
just
because
not
a
good.
lot of people are loving it. You got our brother Pixel Bit G. You got
I'm
Lucius.
very
You got
happy for those
Mr.
people.
Joanna Dark. Yeah, I think even Palm
Yeah,
talked about it a lot too. I'm pretty
My
sure.
assumption would be that those people just like haven't played better tactical games, because this
Oh.
just like doesn't do any part of that
Oh,
well, and
damn.
it doesn't do the character part well. I honestly don't know what part of it they enjoy, but I'm glad they do, because like I want Firaxis
about
to
the
do
card
well, and so I'm
part?
glad that there's people who are
Is
paying
the
for
card
it.
part good?
The card part's fine. So when you're like switching out your card and making decks, you can make like interesting strategic decisions there. The problem is that for basically every main mission, you don't get to decide who you take with you. So you can't really build up like synergies between, let's say you really like having Nico Minoru and Magic, who are 2 of my favorites. If you build up your relationship with them, most of the time it's not going to end up mattering in main story missions, because it's going to be like, okay, well, in this story mission, you're going to hang out with Iron Man, who just sucks. He's going to be one of your 3, and then the other one's going to be like Doctor Strange, who actually is really good.
You know,
But it's like, okay, well, I didn't upgrade my friendship with Tony because all he does is sit around and look like a porn star because he
wait, time out. Why does he look
Yeah.
like a porn star? It's because of the
Yeah, I'm
mustache.
mustache.
curious how that.
It's entirely the
He has
mustache.
mustache.
Oh.
Is it the stash?
It's the stash. I
Yeah,
knew it.
well, also the character models are like pretty low res for the time that this game came out, because it came out I think last year. So they do kind of look like ripped models that somebody's put into like a weird 3D porn video. Like it's not good.
So listen,
Um,
before we lose all of our love from all of our brothers in the chat, I just want to,
I apologize.
and we're because they're about to get at you, and I don't. Listen, I think it's just not for
Hit me up.
you.
Go to my most
It's-
recent video and leave me in comments. It's really great engagement.
Yeah. Listen, you all can also leave that in the chat after in the comments after the podcast if you want, and tell him how wrong he is. But before we go that far into it, I want to move on to the news roundup. But listen, we'll leave it at it's just not for everybody, right? How about that?
Listen, I just appreciate this, Dan, to be honest with
Yeah.
you, because I had no interest. But like if there was ever a little niggling interest, you just squashed it for me. So now I'm free.
It's an interesting choice of words there. See, money.
Oh no. I'll sugarcoat it a little bit. Like I don't think it's a terrible game. I just don't think it does anything especially well. Like I think every part of it is just like very 6 out of 10, very 7 out of 10. Like there's no aspect of it that I point at and I'm like, that's great. Unless you're the kind of person where you're like, I just want to play a game where I can slap my action figures together. I don't think this is the game for you. If you love that, then absolutely this is great because you're going to be like, I can put my Captain Marvel in a new swimsuit that I unlocked by taking her bird watching, a real thing. None of that made up.
What do you think the best tactical game is? What do you think the best one ever is?
Ooh, okay. So like if we're talking just like basic,
I'm guessing.
Yeah, XCOM's really good. If we're talking just like really basic grid based like that, then I would probably go with XCOM. I personally love the Total War games. I think that it's a different kind of strategy. But I love those games, especially like Total War, Warhammer 2 specifically.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm really big on strategy games. They're like one of my favorite genres, and this one doesn't do it for me.
Pixel Bit put in 1,000 into XCOM, by the way, so he's a veteran when it comes to those types of games. You know, sometimes I think it's just like it's tastes, right? Like it's just something that don't click. It doesn't click with everybody. That's all it is.
Different strokes for different folks. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely, absolutely. So let's get into this news roundup. I'm going to commission somebody to make a news roundup blurb so I can transition that and then transition back to us. I'm going to do that. I promise.
Yeah, that would be dope.
Oh, nice. Thank you, Pete. So our brother Pete, I might as well
Pete.
read it now.
Thanks,
Pete donated us the Aussie. What do they call them? The Aussie. What's the money called out there, Danny? The
Australian dollars?
No, they called it.
They call them dollary dues, but I don't.
Dollary dues. He donated $10
the
dues.
Australian dollar?
No,
Aussie dollar. My lord.
it's called something else. I forgot.
Are they called Australian dollars?
Yeah.
No,
Yes.
isn't it a different name for it? It's a different name though, right? Like a specific kind of name for them. I thought.
What do you mean?
There's several-
What does it mean?
I'm telling this to the I'm telling this to the Aussie, by the way. But yeah.
I think you're making stories up. It's the Australian dollar. I don't know what. I reckon that you've been done by Risket or somebody where it comes in with the drop bears and all the false Australian law. I'm sus about this.
Wait a minute. What about the
currency.
emu? Are you telling me the emu war didn't
Oh, my-
exist? Huh?
The emu war. I didn't. You know what? I didn't know about this emu war. I thought that they were joking when I heard it,
Oh,
and I
no,
looked it up. I'm like, oh my
It's
god, it's
real.
actually real. I didn't know.
My favorite aspect of the emu war is the fact that y'all lost.
Look,
Yeah.
I can't say anything.
Yeah.
I don't know.
They're dinosaurs.
Yeah,
I
you all
did.
lost. That's an
I'm
emu.
going to share some videos of the emu that I've got, and you don't want to mark around with that.
Oh, you-
that
wait,
kind of
you
stuff.
You got
That's
one?
actually really cool.
Oh yeah, I'll show you the video.
Oh wow,
Later.
you're war ready. That's what it is. I see.
I'm
talking about
excited
an
about
animal
it.
It's a chocobo.
yeah. That's exactly what it is. It's a chocobo. So our brother
Oh my
Jedi
God.
Knight Peter gave us $10 dues. Epic's trying to say it's just Australian dollars, but I don't believe it.
Yeah.
It dollar
I'll let
dues.
you have it.
Yeah, dollar dues. Your emu trying to confuse us. He says, hopefully some money will help you improve the show because it definitely needs it.
Oh,
Oh, that's fucked up.
It's true.
Thank you for your $10
I'm out
dues.
Crashing popular games and talking with a lag. Like I
Yeah.
appreciate it, but
Yeah, see, Lucius and Dusty said they called the Vegemite dollars. Yeah, that makes more sense. I agree with you guys. Yeah.
is
Dusty
Vegemite
said
specifically an
Tim Tams.
Australian thing?
The
I thought it
Tim
was
Tams.
like UK.
The Tim Tams and the English have the penguin dollars. So yeah, what do we have in the news roundup this week?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. So first up here, I've got, according to recent Sony financial reports, apparently multiple of their games, which were slated to come out at the end of this year and early first half of next year, have been delayed. We don't know specifically which ones. I think we can probably assume that at least a couple of them are those live service ones that got shot in the back of the head by Bungie. But we don't know for sure. And it seems like it was a fair amount because the number that they were saying, that like the financial difference that was being made by those games being delayed was quite significant. I don't know. It's not great. It kind of points to this theory I've had for the last couple years now that PlayStation's first party, while extremely talented, is having a bit of an issue getting it done at the moment. Because you look at last year, and they had two amazing games that came out, but they had been delayed from a previous year. And then this year, the only first party game that came out, I mean, I guess like MLB The Show, but for some reason no one counts that, is Spider-Man 2. Which it makes me wonder, like, okay, well, if God of War and Horizon last year were delayed from the previous year, then I don't know what happened to the games that were supposed to come out in 2022. And then, like, was Spider-Man 2 supposed to come out in 2022? Like, there's something going on in the timetable here that just does not really make sense.
You know, it's interesting.
And they're being really smart filling in those gaps with third-party exclusives like Final Fantasy 16. Like, that's a really good idea. But when you look at strictly their first party, there's something going on there that I don't think is working out.
You know what? It's interesting, though, because a lot of heat was directed Xbox's way because of the delays and such. Like last year, we had a drought. It was crazy empty, right? So we had a lot of heat directed toward Xbox during that. And it's time now we're seeing where this falls back on Sony, because Sony got a pass largely because they had a decent 2022 release. But now we're starting to see the actual effects, I think, of maybe COVID or other things of that nature, where it delayed things and it's delaying things, because Sony tends to get a more favorable view when it comes to delayed games from the media and everybody else. Microsoft gets the brunt of the attacks and they can't get games out on time and the mismanagement calls, claims or whatever. So it's interesting to see now that it's finally we're starting to see the negative payoff, if you will, of Sony and what things have happened with them behind the scenes. What are you guys' thoughts on that? And you can feel free to chime in at any time, of course.
Yeah, I mean, I just when I think about it, I just wonder, is David Jaffe gonna start talking about how PlayStation can't get their shit together and Jim has to go, right? Like, I don't look, at the end of the day, we know games are being made the same way last year when Xbox had a shitty 2022. Like, we knew the games were coming, right? But if Xbox has it happen, the world is ending, right? The Xbox is dying. There's no way out for them. They might as well just throw in the towel, right? But then when PlayStation it happens, it's just like, oh, it's just a delay, no worries. Like, there's no problem. This is natural. This is okay.
Right.
This is what happens in the game industry, right? like it's wild that that's the type of way they do it. Now, my question is, do you think, I wonder if they're having some type of internal struggle where maybe Jim's like, yo, like, I don't want to put that much money into the single player games. I want to put more money into like the multiplayer games, and like, that's creating conflict.
Planning on moving funds around in that way, right? Because we've saw in their previous financial reports, or I forget exactly where we saw it, but they had said that they were going to make it so that I believe 60% of their games funding was going to go into games as a service, like live service games. Which does make me wonder if they are sort of asking their existing studios to do something like that and to like add live service aspects to their games, and maybe some of that isn't panning out particularly well. Like, we know that factions, Last of Us Factions, it's been so long since that game came out that I forgot what it was called for a second.
It's indefinitely suspended, right?
It's been indefinitely delayed, right? And so it makes me wonder if maybe there's some other ones like that. I don't know if God, what were the ones that they showed off? What was the Havens game? What was that called? Not Contraband.
I don't even know if they have names. I don't remember any of them.
Concord was the other one. I know that was the one that's supposed to come out next year. But what was the one by Haven Studios?
It was the one
Money Heist, some shit.
It was a heist.
It was the heist one, right?
Yeah, it was the heist.
It goes to show how memorable it was, right?
It was not memorable at all.
It wasn't memorable. None of them were, bro. Right. They didn't even show us anything. They didn't show us anything. They showed us CGI of like the most generic looking like CGI that you've ever seen. Like, the game looks, there's nothing about the game when you saw the CGI that made you say, oh man, I wonder how this is actually going to be, because this looks great. Like, it was just generic. It looks like a bootlegged Division.
Yeah. It gave me no type of excitement at all to see that. I cannot think of the name.
Oh, man.
No. What is the name? I'm looking it up right now to see, because I cannot think of it, and I feel bad that I can't remember.
Fair Games.
Fair Games. Okay.
Fair Games.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it makes me wonder if maybe this transition over to their desire for like future live service titles is not going as well as they wanted. Because there was a lot of people saying, oh, well, this is just like the live service games are just going to be additive to the single player games that they're already doing. And if that was the case, that would be really cool because like that's just literally more games, right? So that's no problem there. But it seems like that isn't the case, unfortunately. So I don't know. There's just clearly something going on in the pipeline right now that is not working out, and I hope they figure it out sooner rather than later because I really like the games.
I just don't know why they're so ass backwards. Like they had the single player down, and it took so long for them to figure out that maybe we should kind of broaden the horizons and not just make The Last of Us copy and paste over and over again with different skins, right? Yeah. They make what they make really well, right? That's what that's what we come for, right? Like, great. Like, we're excited for those games.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. But all their multiplayer games that they've tried so far have been, whack. Like, I know people have like this. Yeah, they have. And I know a lot of people, feel like Factions was really good. And yeah, I mean, maybe as a game, it was really good. And people thought Uncharted's multiplayer was really good, right? And that's cool too. But like, I mean, like talking real, that they didn't make a big wave anywhere. I wasn't in the Factions camp, and I didn't know many people who were, unless you were like really into the game itself. That's why you played the multiplayer mode. But it wasn't
the only time I ever heard Factions brought up was in the conversation of somebody else saying that PlayStation didn't have multiplayer games. They'll be like, "No, Factions was great."
They sure did. That's the only time I've ever heard it too. I agree with you.
I couldn't even tell you what it was. I don't know if I ever played it, and if I did, it definitely for damn sure wasn't something so amazing.
Yeah,
that was like back in the day when games had random multiplayer modes. You know what I'm saying? Like it was okay. Cool.
When Mass Effect 3 had one, and I think was it Dragon Age?
That was fun.
Inquisition that they threw one in there too, and like those ones worked, but they weren't the reason you go to those games.
I wonder too, because like Ghost of Tsushima
you would break off.
And much like Factions,
only one that I think people
because
people did talk about the Tsushima multiplayer.
Exactly. So they'll do it for like Factions, like Danny said. The only time I'll ever hear them really talk about it, our PlayStation Hoove brothers, is typically when they'll say, and somebody will say, "You all don't have the multiplayer like Xbox games do," and they'll say, "Well, we got Factions," or now they'll say Ghost of Tsushima, which was later added to it. But that's about it. And I think I guess maybe it speaks more to the I don't want to say legacy, but I think it speaks more to what PlayStation has kind of set for their crowd, for their audience, is that they can only expect those single player bangers, as they like to say.
Yep.
And maybe that's why they don't get them the way that we do, because Xbox is focused on giving us the whole, as they would say, kit and caboodle. That's everything. One thing. Yeah, that's one thing why I still love Halo so much to this day, because we get the campaign, you get the multiplayer, you get everything. So you know what I mean.
Get the good community too, which is something that PlayStation honestly do lack, unfortunately for them. But Pixel made a good point in chat there about there's not much hype for Spider-Man 2 at all that I've seen so much compared to Baldur's Gate. It's kind of it's a bit flaccid, isn't it? It's a bit
Thank God. Yes.
I feel like all the hype.
I feel so bad that I'm like, I feel like I don't hear people giving Spider-Man the smoke that it should be getting, because it does not look exciting, bro. This could have just been another expansion.
Like I'm sure it'll be
fun,
a good game,
but it's not.
Right? Like
it's not what it should be.
Yeah.
They're more hyped about Starfield, it seems, which is odd. For them, like you would think that the hype would be equal. Be as hyped about Spider-Man as what Xbox people are hyped about Starfield. But
you know what it is? I think it's a mixture of us kind of having a known with Spider-Man, so we know what we're going to get. Two, I think our Who brothers have done a disservice to the game, because they've been focusing so much on Xbox and talking about Starfield and other things like that to try to tear it down. They haven't properly pushed.
That's actually
Spider-Man.
a really good point.
Yeah.
Is I feel like most of the PlayStation-centric content creators that I have been seeing lately haven't been like big upping their own stuff. They've just been tearing down other people's stuff, and not just Xbox, but also like PC and Nintendo.
Exactly.
And
but it's a reason, right? Like they know there's nothing to push.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, but Spider-Man is more of the same. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like if you went ahead and you got a PlayStation 5 right now, right? Like if you just got in, boom, I'm in. Yes. Oh man, I'm so excited. What can I play? Yeah. Oh shit, I could go buy PlayStation Spider-Man right now. You buy that game, and then in October, part 2 comes out, and then you're like, all right, I'm so excited to start that shit. You're gonna play that, and you're gonna be like, didn't I just play this shit? Like it's just gonna feel like more like everything that is they shown us, and we can only go by what they shown us, right? If there's gonna be some hidden time warp, and they're gonna like go to a different city, like a different country or a state or something, it's gonna be exciting. Like, all right, cool. But what they showed us is that you're swinging through the same places, right? Yeah, they added a few extra suburbs. Okay, well, I mean, it's still the same thing, right? Brick buildings in different angles, right? Like it's the same. You're swinging through the same stuff. Sure, is the screen moving a little faster because the streaming is better now because of the PlayStation 5? Sure. I wasn't hoping that my swing was faster when I was playing the last Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Right. So that didn't bother me.
Swing upgrade.
Yeah, and like, okay, sure, you got Miles and Spider-Man in there. This is the thing that pisses me off, right? Miles is gonna be in the big boy game now, right? He's not regulated to the smaller game. Now he's coming into the big boy game, right? So he has this dope ass black suit, right? Now they couldn't let Miles just be the homie with the black suit. They said, you know what? We're gonna have Peter in a black suit too. Let's make them both have black suits. Like, bro, Miles fucking is a Spanish black man who is getting to be with the big boys, right? And his unique features, right, are finally about to be shown.
Wait. Okay? Are you saying that? Because what I'm getting from this, what I'm gathering, is that you're saying they're banking off the melanated suits for Peter now too, and try to basically colonize.
I'm saying they're trying to steal.
That's what it sounds like.
Shine.
Yeah, they're trying to colonize the blackness. That's what it sounds like.
I'm Puerto Rican, right?
It does feel weird that they're gonna have both characters in there. They're both just gonna be called Spider-Man, which is just a thing in the comics because they're not supposed to exist in the same universe.
That's true.
And then on top of that, they're also gonna have suits that are mostly the same color. It's an interesting choice.
It is.
It's stupid. Why choose now? You know what I'm saying? Like you relegate Miles to a small take of the universe, right? Give him a little game and put it on the side. Was it really good? Yes, it was way better than the original for me, because Miles is way doper as a character for me. But you finally put him again. You put him in the big game that everybody's gonna look at, right? Spider-Man 2, and you take his unique stuff and you just put it to the side and you give Peter
I'll say this. I hear you, see.
Venom, you know what I'm saying? Let's keep him excited.
I'll say this. See, I hear you on that, but then at the same time, where would they naturally go outside of not putting Miles in the game? Really, right? Because you had both of them have their games. I don't feel like you can just ignore him being there. People be like, "Where's Miles at?" You know what I mean? The problem,
he should be there.
Yeah,
the story shouldn't be Spider-Man getting the black suit. You can find another way. You have Miles. Give it to Miles. Do something different. You know what I'm saying?
I think that the two hottest things in the Spider-Man mythos right now, though, are like people are really big on Miles Morales right now. And I think largely because of Across the Spider-Verse, because that movie was phenomenal until the ending. And then also Venom. Like people have always loved Venom, so I understand financially why they would put the two in the same thing together. And I do think that Venom has been part of the story with Miles. Spoilers, I guess, for the comics. I don't know if this happens in the game, but I'm pretty sure he kills his mom, doesn't he? Doesn't Venom kill like Rio Morales in the comics?
You know what?
Am I crazy?
I cannot remember honestly.
I think that does happen.
Yeah.
So like
that definitely happened in the game.
I do know though.
It hasn't yet. Who knows?
I know for a fact, by the way, the first Spider-Man already tipped his hat to Venom being in it. So I feel that's another thing they couldn't just ignore. You know what I mean? So I hear you on the C, but I feel like those are two things that would kind of
make him the bad guy. He could be the bad guy.
Yeah. Why does Peter have to have the suit? Once he has the black suit, I think he's going to become the bad guy. That's my hack theory. Is I think he's going to end up being the final villain that you fight as Miles. Because my weird thing with it, and I wasn't planning on being mean to Spider-Man 2, but here we go. My issue with it was twofold. Is number one, in that first trailer that whatever, the like last gameplay trailer that they showed for it, where Spider-Man's just like hanging out in the like suburbs. I was like, something about this just doesn't really feel right. Like this doesn't feel like Spider-Man to me, but whatever. And it made me think about, because he has the symbiote suit in that one, and he's doing all his tentacle attacks, and I was thinking about it, and I was like, how is this gonna work in terms of the game, right? Because he's gonna get it at some point along the game, but then like, is he going to lose the suit at some point? And then like,
so.
then you just don't have access to those powers anymore because you like get rid of the Venom suit off of Pete. And
That's
so,
the point. Yeah.
so it's like, so he must not be the main character, because you're not going to give somebody really cool Venom powers and then take them away for like the DLC or whatever, right? Because that's not as fun.
That's a fair point.
So I wonder what they're going to do with that.
That's a fair point. I wonder how they're going to handle that as well.
I heard somebody say that they thought that at the end it was going to come down to Miles versus Peter, and then Miles is going to, ultimately defeat him by shocking the symbiote off of him.
It could.
And then
that's one of his weaknesses would be sound, shock, all those types of things, fire. So it could be the case. Yeah, I can see that.
Traditionally, in Miles' story, he sort of takes on the mantle of Spider-Man after Pete dies.
Right.
So it would not be entirely out of place for weird new face Peter Parker to end up dead, and then the franchise.
Oh, he is weird new face Peter Parker.
You know what?
I don't care for it.
Before we go to that will take us a whole discussion if we got into it. So I want to move to the next news piece because we deviated crazy.
We get pretty far off topic there. So the next thing I got here, and I don't think we'll have to talk about this in as much. Nintendo had a Pokemon Direct, and it was largely viewed as a pretty big bust. They showed the DLC for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet for like the 4th time. They didn't really show anything new, except some new, really ugly ass Paradox Pokemon that Pokemon fans are literally making memes about how ugly they are. So that's not great. They showed off 2 new trailers for the anime, both of which I think we already knew about, but they showed off a new trailer for Pokemon Horizons, which is the new main show now that Ash is out of the series. So that one will be interesting. And then they showed off a trailer for a brand new mini series, web series called Pokemon Paldean Winds, that continues the tradition of Pokemon anime of looking way better than the main show on every level, but we'll only get 6 episodes and they may not directly flow into each other like a story. Which is always disappointing. There's so many instances of you should just make that the show thing for Pokemon.
It's interesting though, because like I didn't even know that Nintendo had such an event. I didn't know they had that actually happen.
I didn't either.
Yeah, so
I heard about it, but I didn't hear anything from it. You know what I'm saying? Like nobody was out here talking about it.
Yeah, they also announced that for the Nintendo Switch Online. Sorry if you can hear that dog. The Nintendo Switch Online is getting the Game Boy version of the trading card game and the N64 version of Pokemon Stadium 2, which is cool, I guess, but it's not the Pokemon games people wanted on those services. So, and then they just gave a bunch of updates for their mobile games that nobody talks about, but secretly makes like $1 bazillion million. So, and that was their whole direct.
Yeah, well, I'm sure they're Nintendo fans. I'm sure they ate it up anyway. You know how they do. So,
yeah, I mean, I watched it. It seems like most of the people who are like deep into the Pokemon community, because I did look to see what their general thoughts on it were, just like, yeah, this could have been a text. Like, you didn't need to do a whole thing about this. Like, people got their hopes up that this was going to be like they're going to introduce new games or something, and they didn't. So a lot of people seem to be generally disappointed in the fact that it even existed, like, because most of the information was stuff that they already knew. So yeah, it seems like people are not really big on it, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, I guess and most of us don't really have much to say on it, because I think most of us
I mean, Scarlet and Violet were the Pokemon game. So Pokemon is the one Nintendo franchise that I got indoctrinated to early as a kid.
Scarlet
and Scarlet and Violet are the ones that sort of broke that illusion for me, because those games were just not made well, to a point where I couldn't excuse it even with nostalgia anymore. So I don't know. I guess we'll see. Yeah, they were really bad, like really bad.
I just got Scarlet. I was getting ready to hop in soon at some point.
I mean, look, if you haven't played a Pokemon game in a while, then it's probably still enjoyable. But it doesn't run well, and I doubt they've patched it since I played it, because Nintendo doesn't really do that much.
Let me ask you, when did Scarlet? What was that? What handheld was that for, by the way? In Violet,
Switch. Scarlet Violet.
Scarlet is Switch.
It's just for the Switch. Okay, cool. Because I say that because I had bought these things. Have you guys heard of this site? And I'm going off topic, but have you guys heard of this app, the Temu app, TMU?
Yes, yeah.
I've seen it. I don't know anything about it.
So my coworker kept telling me about it. Oh, I ordered from this, and he had some packages come to the job, and I'm like, why are you bringing your packages to the job? Anyway, long story short, I said, let me check this out. So it's like Amazon, but not. It's the Asian version, I suppose, of it. That's what it looks like to me. And they have a lot of cheap stuff on there, like that you want, much more affordable and cheap than you would get them, maybe on Amazon. So they had
It's like Wish that works.
Exactly.
It's like a Wish,
it's like a Wish.com.
a Wish that works. Yeah.
It's the Wish version of it. So I went on there and I bought
Oh my
two
God.
small handhelds that play like thousands of games on it, right? And
Yeah.
it's like the
That
shape
feels
like
legal.
the Nintendo. It does, yeah. Definitely. And I know it had some Pokemon games on it, so I'm going to be playing some Pokemon again soon. I say all that to
There's
say
some really
that.
good
Right.
ones. Scarlet and Violet are not one
Yeah.
of them,
Okay.
unfortunately.
I'm going to keep
Is
in
it
mind.
that different from the last from Sword and Shield?
Yeah. Sword and Shield were, I think, genuinely pretty good. Like people
Yeah, I
were
love
already
those. I
starting
beat
to
'em.
sort of get disillusioned with those ones a little bit because it was like you made the jump to 3D and like sort of an open world, but then you didn't really do anything with it, and it doesn't run particularly well, especially in like the open areas. If you're doing any kind of online play, it just doesn't run well. And then Scarlet and Violet said, hold my hyper potion, I guess, and they just came out and just didn't
Hold my Master
not-
Ball.
hold the
Pause.
Master Balls, dude. They just didn't connect it. Like it's not.
Man.
I don't know. Again, it's just like if you're really into Pokemon, like I am, you can find enjoyment in it, but there's just no argument that it's just a poorly made game. Like there's just not really any way around that.
Okay.
All right. Which one's better, Scarlet or Midnight Suns?
Oh, boy.
Damn.
I'm on the spot.
Kind of keep it
I
succinct
mean, honestly,
if you
Midnight
could.
Suns. Like for sure, Midnight
God
Suns.
damn it!
Oh,
Are
wow.
you serious me?
Yeah, like
Dang.
Scarlet Violet
didn't
are
expect
just
that.
really, really poorly made. Like Scarlet and Violet are
Damn.
genuinely bad games. Midnight Suns is just mediocre. My
Damn.
nostalgia makes me enjoy Pokemon more, but if I'm speaking objectively, it's a worse game.
Wow. I thought you were gonna come through with I could at
I
least
did
bank
too.
on the
No, I'm
Midnight
sorry.
Hate. You know what I'm saying? 'Cause
Yeah.
that shit was venomous when you were talking. You were just mildly complaining about Scarlet.
That's
You
what
know
I
what
was
I'm saying?
thinking. I was thinking the same.
Well, because Midnight Suns is a fresh wound. Scarlet and Violet have been desiccated for a while. It's been out in the sun
Aw.
like me.
All right.
Oh,
What else?
gosh.
What else did we have in the news, brother?
Reviews for Atlas Fallen, what is it? Yeah, that's the whole title. Atlas Fallen are out, and they are pretty heavily mixed. It looks like when I wrote this down before work, it was at like a 67 on Metacritic, which is not amazing, but also not like super terrible.
Right.
It seems like if you like it, you like it, and if you don't, you hate it. So, like,
Yeah.
there's nobody who's at
I'm
like a
hoping
10,
for
and there's
Game
nobody
Pass,
who's at like a
man.
3.
Yeah. It's
My
roughly
fingers are so crossed for Game Pass.
it's roughly a 7 out of 10. That seems to be the overall
Yeah.
gist of it. And I will say, from what I've played, I played about 2 hours worth. I didn't get more time in yet, but it opens up more from what I've seen. I watched a bit of our brother Steel Rain play some on his stream yesterday, and our brother Macbound is playing it now, and I got FOMO right now. I won't lie to you, but and Pete was playing it too. And what it opens up more with combat, the more weapons and items you get and stuff like that.
That's
So
good.
it does get
So-
better, but I gotta say
Can you
the
sort of
combat is solid.
Because I honestly don't know anything about it. Is this like an action game? Is it a Monster Hunter? Like, what are we looking at here?
It's an action game for sure. Basically, you get this gauntlet, and that's why I tied it a bit to Forspoken, because you get this gauntlet that talks to you, right? And
Right.
and you gain these powers because of it, such as the sickle you see there on the screen, and you get that hammer, and later you get the whip, and all those things open up the combat for you to do more. So it's I kind of call it, the best way I can describe it is a Forspoken as far as you moving around with the sliding on the ice, on the sand, the gliding you do on the sand, kind of feels Forspoken-ish, because the way she runs on there, the parkour style, you just hold the button and she just runs and jumps over whatever and flies around. It's kind of the same here in that way. Also because of the gauntlet, so those are similar because of that.
You
3,
play it?
Darksiders-ish. Darksiders-ish too.
Darksider-ish. That's definitely what I was going to the next.
Yeah.
It definitely feels like that in the combat to
Looking
me.
at weapons.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. It definitely feels like Darksiders. To me, I felt Darksiders had more punchier combat, but I do like the combat. And again,
Okay.
I haven't gotten really far to say either Sue on here. So, but it's pretty enjoyable. But I will say I did kind of feel like Yeah, I think they got it right with the 7 out of 10. So I do have more to play before I can fully say that. But that's the feeling I got. And I think because of that early part, if you all were watching the camp part I was at, that was like, okay, let me out of here, please. That part was boring and annoying. But once you get into the open world and such, I think it opens up and I think your tune kind of changes. So I have more to play and I can give a more robust thought on it later.
You know, it's wild that people like they don't understand that by now. If you're gonna make the beginning area a tutorial, like you need to make that shit fun. Like this is the first time I'm playing it.
Fun or it's gotta be short. It can't.
Exactly.
Yes, fun or short. But like you gotta get me into the main game quick where I'm not saying like, all right, I want to pass this area. I should be like, yo, this is what I got to look forward to, but more. I'm excited.
Agreed.
Like that shit makes me want to say like I'm gonna turn. And I'm sorry for saying the S word. I don't know if I'm okay saying that.
Yeah, I'll say we
but,
could, like I will say let's tone it a bit, but I'm not mad at you for saying
it. No. I'll stop saying it. But like I don't like when there's like this thing where it's like you gotta keep playing for it to get better. Like no, I don't want that. Like I want to play a game and make it good right now because I don't have time. Like if I'm sitting down to play this game, I don't have time to wonder if it's gonna get better, right? Like because I'd rather be playing something else that I know is good.
And that's the thing too, because we got so many good games to play this year. It's like you're gonna have to get me quick. So I'm with you on that 100%.
Sell me quick.
Exactly. And that's the problem I had with Forspoken, by the way. So I only played the demo of Forspoken, but I played 3 hours of that, and it never improved for me. Never.
But I was never even bothered to play the demo. Yeah. Like I just like
yeah.
And I was like, all right, I'm all right.
Yeah, that's what I said. Like you can keep that.
It was flaccid. I played the demo for that, and after you play, Halo, and you've got all this grappling stuff, and then you play this thing, and you can't touch the side of a bloody mountain. You can't do anything trying to scratch yourself up the side of the mountain. No, you have to get to these special points to get up these mountains. It's like, nah, bye boy, I don't want you.
Like, haven't we played Breath of the Wild yet? Like, I don't want to be like I just want to let me go.
Let me do what
where you've made stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like if you made a mountain, let me climb it. You know what I'm saying? Like don't put these fake barriers. Like it's so whack, dude.
Like invisible wall. Constantly. Let me up it.
And that's the beauty of something like a Bethesda game, right? So you see it in the Starfield, you can go there. And that's another thing with this game here, by the way. It's kind of the same where you see the mountain ranges and such. You can travel over that way and like Epic said, when you go there and do that on Forspoken, it's not the same. You're very restricted. It feels like an open but linear game. So I agree with that take. But what else did we have in the news, brother?
So that Red Dead remake or remaster that we talked about, I think last week or maybe 2 weeks before, turns out that it's just a dumbass port to PS4 and Switch, which is why bother? The video they put out of that it was very heavily disliked. It's at 112k dislikes and 36k likes from last I saw. Everyone was really hoping that this was going to be something new. And it's not. They didn't remaster it. They didn't remake it. It's literally just a re-release on different platforms, which is a real bummer. I didn't personally love the first Red Dead,
opportunity, bro.
But yeah, it's a oof.
Yeah, that's the
so
thing.
Stupid.
And that's the thing. That's the beauty again of Xbox. Like to me, that I think shines a bright light on Xbox because we get these things and you get the improvements and all of that from the 60 frames per second boost and
because it was already
all free
for like ages.
Exactly. I think this speaks more to the Xbox's favor on game preservation, and that's the thing that it strikes me. So they're selling that for $50. This game is what? How old is that game? How it got to be about 10 years old, right?
One was like, I think it's more.
Was it 2000? It's like 2000 and. I think it was the late 2000s, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Or
Red
early.
Released in 2010, May 21st, 2010.
Wow.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's 13-year-old
game, man.
It's wild.
Yeah.
What a waste of an opportunity to actually bring it up to the level that Red Dead 2 is at. As far as just graphically, obviously you're not going to put the systems in there like Red Dead 2 is, but just graphically get it to that level, smooth out the way you move throughout the combat, and just man, it was like so stupid. Like there's so many people who don't even know what that game is, and now they're even though on Xbox
it's a fan favorite too.
you,
Like the people who played it
yeah,
generally
it's
think
so
of it as
good.
like one of their top 10 games. Like they really like it. So
Yeah.
it's a bummer
Sure.
that they're just like. I think the biggest mistake on Rockstar's part, because putting it out on PS4 and Switch, like in general, that makes sense. I think the thing that was a misstep on them was when all these rumors started going around, because they had to hear about it, that they weren't just like, hey, don't worry about it. Like, hey guys, this is just a re-release, we're not doing anything special. Because I think people got their hopes up because it was going on for like a month and a half.
Yeah.
So
and people talk about it, you know what I'm saying? Like that's the one thing that I gotta pray. Well, not the one thing. There's many things to praise about them, but Xbox, back in the day. Now we don't feel it anymore because there's not anything to temper. But they were quick to like temper expectations. Like, hey, this is not going to go the way you're thinking. So let's slow that down. Like it would have been easy for Rockstar to put out a notice like, hey, we're not remaking the games. You don't have to even commit that you're re-releasing the games, right? Just say that we're not remaking it so that it dies, right? Quick, swift, and it's over.
Yeah.
Like it's just so stupid that they sit there and let it. And I had dreams in my head of what this was going to be, and I was going to replay it in this beautiful new, graphical fidelity. Oh my God. Heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Heartbreaking.
No, I agree with you. And again, though, it's kind of like I can understand it maybe from Nintendo's perspective. If you're a fan there and you haven't played the game, like, oh wow, it's coming here. Okay, cool. That game is old,
and it will get play on Switch, like for sure.
I'm sure.
That's going to happen.
Absolutely, because you get the
Hopefully
mobility
it runs
of it.
well.
Yeah, I wonder how it's going to run too. But like to have it on PlayStation and PlayStation not to have the backward compatibility for it, honestly, I think it's a slap to the face for that community. Honestly, we have it here on Xbox at no charge. It's free of charge if you already own the game. It's just
that's why Xbox is the only place where I feel comfortable buying digital games, because I don't, especially Nintendo, I don't trust that they are going to respect my purchases in the future.
Yep.
And so if I buy the physical cartridge for Nintendo, I know that like if Switch 2 comes out and it's not backwards compatible, worst case scenario, I can sell those cards and they're going to be fine, right? So I don't buy digital things on Nintendo ever because I just don't trust it. Sometimes I'll do DLC if I really want it, but that's it. PlayStation, I'm a little bit more lenient on, but even that, I don't really trust them. Like there's this thing where like I just don't know if they're going to respect the purchases that I made, especially because when I upgraded from my PS5 to my PS4 to my PS5, I didn't think about it, and I knew better, but I didn't think about it, and I didn't upload my saves because I don't have PS Plus, and so I just lost like a ton of save games completely because I just completely forgot that they don't do that for you. Like you have to go out of your way to send your saves to the cloud and everything.
Same happened to me. Yep.
Yeah, and so I just I don't.
Worse, dude.
I just will not buy digital products over there, which is weird because we're hearing all these rumors now of like, hey, maybe next gen will be digital only, and it's like I really hope that's not the case because there's only one of these companies that I trust to pay digital things for.
Yep.
So,
and I don't know if you have it as a news item, but did you hear about like some developers, they want Nintendo to not make the new system back compat because they're afraid that if they do, they're not gonna buy new games.
Yeah, I don't have that on here, but you're right, that did happen, and that's ridiculous.
Wild.
I'm at a point with Nintendo.
That's wild.
And I apologize in advance to Mr. Joanna Dark, who I'm sure is still in the chat. I'm at a point with Nintendo where I'm disenfranchised by Pokemon. I never really grew up caring about Zelda or Mario, and so I don't have that nostalgia. And so I think without that nostalgia, those games just aren't really good. I'm at a point with Nintendo where if the next one comes out and it's not backwards compatible, I think I can pretty safely just not buy that console and be fine. Like I don't think it'll affect me. So they should really think about moving into the modern era. Yeah. And just keeping back compat as a thing.
I agree. Yeah. If they not having backward compatibility for that thing, for the next Switch or whatever it's going to be called, it's just
it'd be awful.
Yeah. I have no interest, and I don't play it now. So you don't have it then. That's a no sale for me for sure. So absolutely, I agree. But what else did we have in the news?
Obsidian put out a documentary celebrating their 20th anniversary, and it's really good. They go through sort of every single game that they've made. I think every single game. There might be some like smaller ones that they did on the side, but they just talk about how it like started in Fergus Hart's attic, and they talk about where they all came from and how there's a couple of really good like factoids that came out of it. Like they talk about how the team there under several different names almost made Baldur's Gate 3 twice in different times, because Dungeon it was like Dungeon Siege 3 was originally Baldur's Gate 3, but then they like the license got dropped by whoever was publishing it, and so that ended up not being that. And they were gonna make it before Black Isle fell apart or something. So like multiple times, Fergus Urquhart and that team have almost made Baldur's Gate 3, which is really interesting considering that this came out so close to when the game came out. They also talked about the tough times that they had with several of their layoffs. They were working on an Aliens game at one point, and that got canceled, and so they had to do layoffs there. And then famously, Microsoft canceled a game around the beginning of the Xbox One generation called Stormlands, and that was a huge hit for them. So they don't sugarcoat anything. But then at the end, they go in and they start talking about Avowed, and one of the cool factoids that came out of that is much to the sort of opposite of what we were talking about earlier with the live service skew of PlayStation's future, is Avowed apparently originally had a co-op focus, but they realized pretty early on that it just wasn't going to work out, and so they completely scrapped it. Now it's a pretty dedicated single player game.
Okay.
So there's a lot of really cool information coming out of it. I highly recommend watching it.
I definitely have to
especially
check it
if you're interested in seeing sort of who the people behind the games are, which I always am. It's a really good watch. I recommend it.
Yeah,
Is it
definitely.
really long, or is it like 20 minutes?
No,
or
it's
so, 30 minutes?
it's 5 different videos, so you can watch them in chunks. I think each one's like 20 minutes, so it's not bad.
Yeah, we were talking about
Very
this the other
cool.
day. Me,
Not
Pete,
bad.
and Risky. We were talking about that. I actually do have to do that because I'm going to do this. Treat it as my homework because we'll be discussing it tomorrow on the Xbox Infinite podcast to some degree. But yeah, I love Obsidian, by the way, and I like their take.
One of my favorite teams.
Absolutely. And did you? So that right there, by the way, not only with this documentary thing here, but Ferguson spoke recently too about them having this single player focus going forward. Did you have that in the notes as well?
Yes, yeah. So he went on to, one of the other things that he talked about was how over the course of sort of different games that they tried out, because they also made I think it was called Armored Warfare. There was a tank game that they made, and they had a good time. They learned a lot making that game, but one of the things that they talk about is how the number one thing that they learned is that they don't really want to make games like that anymore. It's just not what they're passionate about.
Yeah.
So they are very heavily like, we are a single player, we are an RPG team. This is what we are known for because it is the things that we love to do. They basically, there's a whole bit where they're talking about how it's not that they're pigeonholing themselves into making one kind of genre or one kind of game. It's just these are the sort of genres that they like playing, and so it's the ones that they like making. And they can play around in that zone as much as they want, but that's probably where they're always going to stay.
I see. Okay, yeah, and for me on that, I applaud that because I feel like that these developers should stick to what they feel are their strong suits. You know what I mean?
What they like.
Yeah, and if they know that, seeing that I'm transitioning this camera, so excuse me, guys. That's why I was pausing like that. But if they know that, single player games are their forte and they excel there, I have no issue whatsoever with them doing that. Actually, I think one of the complaints we had in the community was that Microsoft focused a little too much on multiplayer at one point, and we wanted to get more single player focused games. So that to me is a positive, honestly, and I think
You're swapping places, bro.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know, right?
Well, I mean, they're also going to have obviously
Literally
multiplayer games over on
swapping.
Xbox with Activision and everything. But yes,
Yeah, they kind of
It's crazy. It's crazy. They're swapping places. PlayStation is now in this desperate need to go get multiplayer games going, which is the harder to do. Let's be clear, right?
Mm-hmm.
Xbox
Yeah.
going single player is way easier. You got talented people who could put good graphics on the screen and make a good story. You got talented teams, and you can make a single player game. The multiplayer games are the one that's hard because they have to hit for them to matter. Whether they're good or not doesn't matter. They have to hit, right? People have to want to play them.
That's true.
It's crazy,
and it's an
It's crazy
oversaturation.
what Sony's doing right now.
And it's an oversaturation
Exactly.
of those
Like,
types of games.
Like they're so
Yeah.
late to the game. Like Xbox is figuring out now that, you know what, maybe everything doesn't need multiplayer.
Right.
Maybe we should just leave it to the passionate people.
Well,
You think Jade Raymond's team, who was Jade Raymond, the girl who did all the Assassin's Creed single player games and all the other games that she made, right? Like that was her passion to go make multiplayer. I don't believe it.
I don't believe it either.
I think they said, "Hey, we'll buy you, but we need you to make something games as a service." And they're
Yeah.
like, "Dope, I'm taking the bag."
Well, I think that's sort of the benefit also of Game Pass is because so these games as a service games, the reason people want to do them is because when they take off, they make a ton of money.
True.
And I think PlayStation is starting to want to get into games as a service for that reason, and Xbox is realizing that it's hard. It's hard to put out, you know, a games as a service game that really takes off in that way, and so they're kind of going a different direction where instead of being games as a service, they're going games like in a service, right? Where
Yes.
that money is coming from the Game Pass subscription, right? And so they're getting game as a service style money, but the service is their catalog, right? So every game that they make is just part of that. And I think it's a really interesting move for them to make. And I don't know if other people have really caught on to that, because I feel like a lot of people still think for some reason the Game Pass doesn't make money, which is just like factually not correct in any way.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think it's just a different sort of philosophy, I guess, in terms of what games as a service. It's games as a service versus games as a service, I guess. That's the way to put it.
Their platform as a service versus games as a service, right? So their whole platform is the service. Like being a part of Game Pass allows you to make single player games. Those are games as service. Because if you go and you have Game Pass and you mostly play single player games and you're keeping your subscription every month, guess what? That's a game as a service to you, right? You're paying every month to have access to it, right?
Yeah.
It's the monetization comes from Game Pass as opposed to, you know, microtransactions or whatever.
Yeah, I will point out something that Abdel pointed out in the chat. He says that Jade Raymond's game was already in development under Google Stadia before. That's true. That is true. I forgot about that. And I think,
but do we know what game that was? Because was that ever? Did she ever say it was a multiplayer game when she went on stage?
I
at the
forget
Google
right now.
event?
It's been a while.
I don't remember that.
But I do remember that it was in development. But you might be right. But maybe the case is that Sony saw that and said, "Hey, you know what? You're making this, and this is what we're trying to transition to anyway. So let's bring you on over here and give you a budget or whatever may be the case." That could be the case too. I think it just played into their plans all along. You know what I mean? And like Danny said, for sure, you know, if it takes off, that's, you know, as they would say, buku. That's buku bucks.
That's great.
Yeah. Not to be confused with Aussie bucks or, you know, epic.
Kangaroo coins.
And kangaroo coins. And dollar dues. And Vegemite dollars.
No, but this is a great way. This is a great way of seeing the benefit of Xbox and them having the pockets that they have and them going ahead and, you know, for all intents and purposes, saving a lot of these companies from the stresses of conforming to what publishers want to hear in order to give them money, right? So, you know, Obsidian went ahead and they were going to make Avowed this multiplayer game because that was the easier pitch, and publishers heard that and said, okay, there's some extra way for me to make money from this. Yeah, I want that. Now that Xbox owns them, they're making this statement about how they want to keep to, you know, what they're good at. Well, they can only do that because Xbox owns them now, and Xbox is saying, we want you to be who you are. And that's what I always love versus, you know, the PlayStation MO. I mean, PlayStation tells them what to make, right? Unless they've earned their stripes.
Yeah,
absolutely.
They'll relegate them even to the support studios if they need to. Yeah,
it's like, well, you took a chance.
Sucker Punch or Insomniac, and these teams that are historically have done other games, and both of those game teams have transitioned to the sort of PlayStation narrative focus thing very well. You know, obviously Spider-Man and it was Sucker Punch was that wasn't Days Gone, that was Bend. Who did? What are they? Ghost of Tsushima. Sucker Punch was Ghost of Tsushima. Both of those obviously made the transition very well, but there's no denying the fact that like that's not the type of games that they originally made. And it's possible that they wanted to make that transition on their own, but we can't prove that.
Yeah,
exactly.
What else did we have?
We can prove that Xbox has let their teams do what they want to do, and that's what I love about it.
And we hear the positive side of that we've heard it from Obsidian, we've heard it from you know, Double Fine. A lot of the teams you know, one of the things that we heard about during that time when they bought like a bunch of studios at the same time was that they went and they talked to previously acquired studios, and they were like, oh, we're just going to do what we want, but not have to pay for it and not have to like pitch all of our games to everything. That sounds great.
Yeah, that's one thing I will give Xbox credit for. Yeah, one thing I will give Microsoft credit for is allowing their studios to create. They're not getting in their way, and that didn't used to be the case. It used to be Microsoft dictating. So now it's a positive thing, and I think without that we wouldn't be getting games like Clockwork Revolution, for instance, from an Exile. Like, who would have thought they would have made that, right? And it looks super polished already.
Yep.
So
it's beautiful.
Yeah, and Obsidian, in the way that Ferguson talked about it. You know, I expect to see some really great things from them coming forward as well, outside of Outer Worlds and things of that nature. So I'm really excited for their future with Xbox. Honestly, very excited. But what else did we have, though, Danny?
Yes, sir. We have Devolver Digital also put on a showcase, and the biggest takeaway from it is that they had a because Devolver is very tongue in cheek. They had a section in their showcase that was just talking about all the games that they were delaying, and unfortunately it was most of them. They've delayed Plucky Squire, Skate Story, Stick It to the Stickman, Angerfoot, and Pepper Grinder, all of which have been moved to 2024. There's still some that are coming out this year. I think one of them is like Talos Principle. I didn't write those ones down. I probably should have, but
Talos Principle too.
A large portion of their lineup has been delayed, which is really unfortunate. But you know, I'm sure that those games will be good when they come out, and I look forward. I genuinely look forward to. Granted, the only two I know are Skate Story and Plucky Squire, but I look forward to those two. I think they both look good.
Yeah, I'm Plucky Squire. I'm super excited for. Like, have you seen that Epic? Like, what's your take on Plucky Squire and those games from Devolver? Devolver, by the way, is top notch. Like the indie studio thing, man. They do some great things.
Oh, that's a very cute one. Kind of like It Takes Two. It's like the storybooky kind of.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I like the look of it. I'll give that a slap, but I don't know much more about that. I remember seeing it twice. I remember the book opening, and very, very cute. You know, I like that kind of stuff. You know, I was honing on those really type of games.
You should stream it. Yeah, stream that.
Maybe I will.
Yeah,
I love those.
If there's two indie publishers that you can pretty consistently trust, it's Devolver and it's Annapurna. So I have a pretty good amount of faith in that game, just based on its pedigree.
Yeah. Now for Plucky Squire, though, that's the one I'm anticipating the most. I do like that. What's that one? The Skate Story? Is that the name of it?
Skate Story, yeah.
Yeah, that looks pretty good. I like it's like an interesting premise. It seems like it's going to be kind of a short game too. But Plucky Squire caught my attention immediately when it was shown like a year or two ago.
It was a while ago. The first time they showed it was quite a while, and then we saw a little bit of it again. I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that.
Yep.
I remember that one. Yeah.
I'm excited for it. I
expanded the outside part.
Yeah, like my thinking,
like it got bigger.
It did. I think. I think because of the reception it got, they were like, "Oh, okay." Because I think before it was like it's an interesting concept and everything, but when they saw the positive reception, they were like, "Okay, we could put more into this." So maybe this delay is. I feel like most delays are always going to be for the betterment of that game anyway. So I look at this as a positive anyway. But honestly, I wouldn't have touched these games this year anyway. So it's kind of like. It's whatever, honestly.
I might have if they're really short. Sometimes I'm looking for just like a quick game to fit in between two longer games.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I can tell you, I'm not putting down Starfield after I touch it this year. Unless it's the weekend I want a game with the friends in the community for a bit, maybe Halo or some Among Us or something.
I'll probably put it down for a while. Yeah. For Alan Wake 2 and then pick it back up.
Yeah. Like
I'm really looking for it out.
Damn. Are you guys thinking?
I really wanted that game for so long, dude.
Which one?
Me too.
Alan Wake 2, man.
Oh yeah.
And it just sucks that it's literally now, like out of all the years we could have gotten this shit, this game.
Yeah.
It doesn't even matter. That's
now
for me.
Yeah.
It comes out really close to Spider-Man, and unfortunately for Spider-Man, I know where my money's going that month. So
yeah, no question. I'm with you on that. I am excited. My buddy Captain Yak on Twitter, he is actually he went as far as to claim that he believes Alan Wake 2 would be game of the year. I'm like, not this time, buddy.
It's a tough year. I think it'll be great, but it's a tough year.
Yeah, it's a tough year, especially now with Baldur'S.
I don't think it's gonna ever get less tough because going forward, like there's some bangers in the pipeline that Xbox has coming.
True. So
Man, I
very
hope
Like
so.
whatever year Hellblade and Fable come out, oh my
man.
god.
Oh man, I'm so excited
my
for
God.
so much coming, so much good stuff coming our way. But Abdul made a good point. Yeah, Focus Entertainment too. I agree with you, Abdul. Focus also
Oh
deserves a
yeah,
lot of
Focus
love.
is good.
Oh yeah,
Focus
Because
needs to get
Focus is the one
bought.
who's doing.
I want them
or
to
I think they're
grab Focus
doing-
so bad.
Yes,
Yeah.
they need to.
It,
They need
is
to.
Focus the one that's doing all those Warhammer games?
Yep.
Like is Fat Shark from Focus?
They are. They're doing Warhammer
Or-
the 40K and the Space Marine 2. They put out Plague
Yeah.
And they do Plague's Tale.
Yep. Yep. And then, of
Okay.
course,
That's
Atlas
my
Fallen,
favorite.
of course, too. Yeah, they're pretty solid. Now, Focus themselves are just the
I think just the publisher.
exactly the publisher. So they grab
Yeah.
these teams, but Focus, by doing this, from what we've noticed, they curate great teams. Like, so I have to give them
They're
some
good at-
type of credit. Exactly.
They got good talent scouts. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. So hell, maybe Microsoft needs to dip in there and
Couldn't
give
hurt.
them a little freedom and grab them on over here. Yeah, because they got some good talent. They got some eyes for talent
just-
over there.
Just look at the teams that they sign. Just like start. Just like skip the middleman. Just pick their teams.
I know, right?
Mm.
But what else did we have in the news?
Real quick one here. Epic, your neighbors to the north or northwest, northeast. New Zealand approved the ABK deal
Oh,
with no
yeah.
concessions.
Did
They were
see
just
that.
like, "Yep, that seems good." They did hold off on it on a really long time.
Ridiculous. Yeah.
So I don't know if they were just like
Unnecessarily long time.
waiting
Yeah.
to see if other people would pass it first or what. But they didn't have any problems with it. They were just like, "Yeah, that's good."
They were too busy
Done.
dealing with these hobbits out there to get the stuff done. Yeah, like why
You see
did it
that
take
video
that long?
recently?
Which
We're
one?
all going to be
Uh,
New Zealanders soon, sitting those consoles.
I know.
Oh yeah.
Zealand
there was a
time.
video recently of like Lizzo went to New Zealand and was like playing on like a pan flute or something. She was like playing the Shire song, and everyone was like,
Oh,
"Lady, you're getting sued right now. I don't know if this is what you should be doing." But
Wait.
alright."
You're telling me Lizzo traveled over to New Zealand and was playing the flute for the Shire from Lord of the Rings?
She was in like the set of I think Bilbo's house or something, and she was playing the Shire song, on like a reed flute or something.
Oh wow, she's not reading the
Wow.
room well. I
Wow.
see. Yeah,
No, she's not. She's really not.
that's
No.
funny.
No.
Yeah, that's funny.
Nah, it's funny because I forgot about. Like honestly, I kind of forgot about the whole Activision joint. Like I once Sony signed,
oh.
that was pretty much a wrap for me. I mean, there's really
Yeah.
if
There's a lot of, like,
Sony is
paperwork
saying
that
we know
goes
it's
on.
happening, then like we're just waiting at this point to get the last word. Like, hey, it's done. And wasn't it supposed to be? I thought when the CMA had said, yeah, we gave it to the 29th, but they said they hope to have an answer by the week of the 7th, which is this week. And I guess that's maybe not going to happen, or maybe tomorrow it'll happen.
Yeah.
But we're just delaying the inevitable. Like we know it's going down. Like you already see, even with the Call of Duty joint, going on, that Activision, like Xbox is already kind of stepping in, and PlayStation's already kind of stepping back.
They've already put the little
So-
arm over their shoulder. We'll get to that discussion at the end of
yeah.
this, but yeah, that's funny because
Yeah.
you're right. The writing is on the wall. It's just funny to see these. I mean, they've made now the 41st rather country now to pass it, but it was inevitable after that. When the FTC was defeated, that was the end. There was no more. That's why you saw the CMA acclimate now, and now they're trying to we're coming around. FTC was the hold
CMA's
up.
dragging their heels real good though. I
Mhm.
don't know. I don't know why they. I don't know. The CMA has been annoying me.
They
but
have to me too.
They've been annoying a lot of people. So.
Yeah. We'll get to that at the end of this. We don't have a ton to go by, so it's going to be speculation. But I feel like, man, let's get this done so we can get these games into Game Pass, because
Yeah.
I will play
Facts.
through those campaigns of Call of Duty once they get in there. I have never been the biggest Call of Duty fan because of the multiplayer. I don't care for it, but I do enjoy their stories. But again, we'll talk about it later. But what else do we have?
Campaigns are amazing.
I agree.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So just a couple left here. Real shocker, but Final Fantasy 16 has failed to meet its sales expectations by such a dramatic amount that the Square Enix shares dropped about 15% as a result. It's very likely that this is at least partially the reason why Square Enix brought Phil Spencer out on stage to be like, hey, we're going to put more games on Xbox, because like
Phil
literally, they just
Spencer.
need to reach more people.
Yeah.
Phil Spencer.
That was amazing, that moment. Loved
It really
it.
was.
The music was just
They were
so
holding hands for mad
popping up.
long. They were just holding each
A
other's
little
hands on that.
Yeah.
They were just like that was a deep hold. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody was just connected in that moment.
They were really bringing him to the world of light of Final Fantasy. with that
Yo,
whole-
seriously.
Yeah.
And some
insane,
reacts
dude.
to that were just,
man.
some of the reacts I'm talking
Yeah.
about. Oh my God. It
Yeah.
was just, I felt really,
It's
that
just,
Schadenfreude, it's like, oh my God, this Dreamcast guy was just, it was one of my favorite videos that I've
Oh,
seen. I
Just
swear to God.
meltdown.
Yeah.
Just,
It's really kind of
so good.
it's really kind of shocking, I guess, and I don't even say this as like a console wars type thing. So I hope people don't take it that way. But
Yeah.
I'm really surprised because I heard people really bigging up Final Fantasy 16 for months, like
Mhm.
like a long time. I really thought that. I mean, I didn't think it would raise Square Enix out of the depths or whatever, but I thought it would do decently well, and it seems like it is very, very badly not met expectations. So I'm really surprised by that, especially because their only other exclusive this year, or first party, their only major first party exclusive this year is Spider-Man. I would have thought that it's like, well, the people who really love single player games over on PlayStation, you would think that they would kind of gravitate towards that. And it seems like they
would
didn't.
think so.
I don't know. I really thought it would have done better.
I thought
The demo was
so, too.
amazing. Did you play the demo? It was incredible. I thought it was
Danny
incredible.
played
I
it.
was
Danny played it. I
like,
didn't
holy
play it
I
because
played.
I
I didn't
figured I
actually
would
play
get
the
into
demo.
it later.
I played the first.
Oh no, you played the
Yeah,
actual
I didn't actually play
game.
the demo. I played the first couple hours.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a friend of mine brought it over.
Right. I
And
forgot.
it was okay. Yeah, like it didn't really do anything for me, but it was well made. Like
Yeah.
there's no argument. Like it was a
Did you
well-made
play on
game.
quality
it was pretty
mode?
to look at.
Is that how
I
you were
could-
playing?
don't actually
I
remember.
couldn't. I could not. With the demo, I had to
So-
play it on performance because it was just all jittery. And
Jittery.
I was
Well,
thinking,
that's the-
it didn't click in my brain. I'm like, on PlayStation, what is going on? This is really weird. Very unusual.
Dude,
for
Dude,
Final
we
Fantasy.
tried playing it four times
Mm.
on stream. It's actually 2 different times, but the first time we played it for a little bit and it overheated my system.
Wow.
Yeah.
Then on a and then
Right,
on a
you were
complete
saying.
live during the stream, okay? And then on a whole different occasion, we played it again and it literally 3 times live during the stream. The shit overheated. Damn it, I keep saying shit.
That's
I'm sorry.
crazy.
Yeah.
I like how you. I like how he said.
Overheated,
He
bro.
said, "Damn it, I keep saying shit," and then said the word back again.
I've been in
My bad.
Holy smokes. Holy smokes.
Yeah,
No swearing from me today.
and it's funny though
I was
because
under the impression that was just how people swore in Australia.
yeah,
But
right.
that's, normally
Australia
it is.
Here's my
Absolutely.
understanding of Australia is that it's
Mm.
just like more fun, cool England. Like
Yeah.
if people in England weren't pessimists
England.
and just like had a good time, then they
Yeah.
would be Australia.
more
You've got it.
more
Yeah.
fun
Okay.
England with
Absolutely right.
bigger wildlife and bugs.
Yeah, well, that's true too.
Yeah, because the spiders,
spiders.
well, they'll take you away and tie you up somewhere. But yeah, I was gonna
Yeah,
say,
for sure.
the thing too with Final Fantasy 16, the reason why I don't want to call it a bum or a flop, right? It's doing okay, but clearly there was a lot of our Hoove brothers pushing that as, oh, look how successful it is, and the Square is so pleased with this, and I'm like, do we have to go back through where Square is never quite pleased with their expectations? And sure enough, we got this news here
Yeah.
where it didn't quite hit the high end, as they put it, the high end expectations of what they wanted. And I can't help but think, well, duh, you kept it on one platform. Why wouldn't you put it on PC at the very least? I think that was very foolish. Now, it's going to come there eventually, and it's going to come to Xbox too, but I think them seeing this projection here of what happened, not the projection, but the sales they got, I think it's going to happen sooner than later. And I don't know what their contract is with PlayStation. I don't know if it's for a full year or what. I mean, we saw with Forspoken, it was a foolish 2-year, which means it will never be played on Xbox. And because if it comes over, most of us are not going to waste their time with it. So I just wonder, like,
especially since we know it's trash.
especially since we know it's trash, right? Typically, most people, I've seen some who like, I like it, but that's going to be few and far between. The sales are not going to do anything. Then of course, our people on the other side, our Hoof brothers, gonna be like, "Well, see, you guys don't buy these games anyway." Yeah, we don't want to buy bad games. I don't think
And they're
that's.
going to talk about Redfall again, like they have already. It's
I
like,
know.
you still play about Redfall? Seriously?
Right, exactly.
Let's move on.
But speaking of that, so I'm gonna go
People
back.
get a lot of mileage out of Redfall.
They are, yeah. I'm gonna say though, I'm gonna bring this back up in our discussion in a second when we move to the main topic. By the way, so I don't want to hold on to this one for too long, but I'm gonna bring it back up in a minute. What else? Cool. What else do we have?
Yeah, I've only got two left here. They're the only two that are not video game related. First up is some industry analysts, I'm not entirely sure which industry, believe that Apple might be looking to acquire Disney. Please, wow. God, no. Oh my God, no. Please don't let this happen.
Can you imagine?
I hate Apple so much. They are one of my least favorite companies on the planet. They treat people poorly. They make bad products. I don't like them. They are awful. They're awful, and I don't know why people will continue to shop with their products, because they are directly inferior to their counterparts. Like, they need to exist, I guess, because there's not a lot of different phone brands. So like, whatever. Yeah. Like, I guess they need to exist to further to like not be a monopoly. But
I don't care for Apple.
It's the ecosystem.
Yeah.
Once you're plugged in, bro, it's so hard to break out.
You can't get out.
I've been Apple for a long time, but I like was it the Fold 3, right? Samsung. I said, you know what? I'm gonna get one of those. So I have my work phone, which is my Apple because it has everything else, and then I have my personal phone, which is this Galaxy Fold. And like, as cool as it is, right? Like for the show, right? We have like, I have a like for our podcast, I have a file that I share with my son, and that's where we put all the topics in there. And on that iPhone, I'm in Twitter, I see something pop off, I'm like, yo, that's dope. I hit the up button and I share it to my notes that shares with him, and it's all done. It's all over. Everybody, we can all see it. It's good to go. Then sometimes I'm on my Fold, and I'm like, damn it, like I can't send it there. And it messes me up, man. It's so separate for me, and it's so hard because then you have to like rebuild your whole ecosystem on the other side. Like, you can't just say, I'm gonna leave Apple, I'm gonna get an Android phone, because then you have to, if you use tablets, then you have to go buy an Android tablet, and if you use the watch, then you gotta go buy an Android watch. Yeah. And if you like to sync between your like PC and your products, you gotta find the version of that's going to work on Android. Like, there's just so much that has to change.
I get it. You in with,
I get it.
Yeah, to leave.
It's much like gaming
for everybody in the family.
It's much like gaming at the same time. It's the thing that Phil was talking about that time, where once you get into the ecosystem, you don't want to switch around and start playing on if you're locked in on PlayStation with their ecosystem, you're not going to want to switch over and come to Xbox. It's just not going to happen. And the same with vice versa. So I get it. I do. I personally don't care for Apple like that. I've used them before. I just prefer Android systems, and I have the Samsung, which I think is just the best product when it comes to phones. The Samsung Galaxy, Ultras and 21s or whatever, 22s and 23s now. Personally, I just think it's better in most every way. And Android themselves are better than iOS because most of what iOS uses is from Android, and typically way later.
Yeah, like Disney and Apple are already probably too powerful individually. Having the two of them together, like, that's the kind of deal that the FTC should be looking to block. Like, that is way too much power and consolidation.
I agree.
Disney is, I think, one of the most powerful companies in the world. They have. When I worked at the movie theater, just as an anecdote, when the Disney reps showed up, you just did what they said, right? They were your boss for the day. They showed up and they said, "Hey, we want our movies moved to your main screens. We want the standees for our movies to be front of show. We want them in the lobby. Don't put them down the hallways. We want our posters in the most visible cases." And you would do what they said because Disney owns the film industry. Like, they are the best-selling films all year. If you are a theater chain and you are not getting Disney films, you are not a theater chain. You are bankrupt. Full stop. They are extremely powerful and they like to throw that weight around. I trust them more than Apple, but they have too much power in so many different industries that they really should not be allowed to probably grow in any direction. So the idea that people are saying this as like a real possibility is a little bit scary, especially if the purchaser is Apple, a company that I could not possibly trust less.
Well, if not Apple, who would you? If not Apple, who would you say should do it? If this, let's assume that Disney needs to get bought to survive, right? Who other than Apple would you say to do it?
I think it would have to be
the
a
real only
conglomerate.
options are like Amazon, Google, or
no, I think it would have to
Microsoft.
be a conglomerate. It have to be a conglomerate of people. I wouldn't want one single entity to do it, and Apple sure wouldn't be
well,
that.
I think I would want it to be. I think I would want it to be one voice because Disney is also owns so many of the things that I really personally care about, and so it would have to be somebody who I would trust to like. Because I really like Disney parks. I'm not like a Disney adult, but I like Disney parks. I want to be able to go to them every now and then. And I think a lot of businesses probably would shut them down because they are very expensive. They're very heavy overhead, and so like that's a big deal. And then like Disney Plus is really great, and I don't want that to change too much. So I don't know. There's not many companies large enough to purchase Disney that I would trust to do so. But if it was a you have to buy, God, if it was like Disney has to be sold in order for them to continue existing, oh man, I don't know. Who's even big enough? Like Google, maybe. I guess Google doesn't have like a ton of control over anything other than like ISPs. They don't really make a ton of like devices, I don't think. So maybe Google, but also Google has a real big history of shutting down just everything. Yeah. So I don't know if I would trust them with that either.
See, I don't think there's anybody who we can point to trust.
No good answer.
Boba in the chat, Boba Fett said Amazon. I don't trust Amazon either for that.
No.
I don't trust Amazon for shit. Yeah.
So it's tough.
I guess I trust them. I mean, I trust them more than Apple, but like that's not saying much.
I'll give them that much. I will say too, Amazon having it would mean probably much more compatibility with everything we use already.
There's sort of a vicious triangle of brands that I don't trust, and it's it basically okay. Here's the pyramid, right? Like picture your triangle. On one corner you've got PlayStation, on the other one you've got Tesla, and on the third you've got Apple. If you know a guy who stands all three of those brands, not just like uses them, but like they are the best, I will shop nothing else than these ever. Then you have a problem. You can have any two, but once you get that third, then all of a sudden you're that man is like, he's the guy who he's gonna like mansplain something to you and like make sure to touch your thigh while he's doing it, right? Like it's gonna be you're gonna have that guy who like God, it's gonna be that situation where like you start talking about like any other opinion and he's gonna just assume that you're an idiot because you don't agree with him. Like that's the guy. That's the vicious triangle of brands that you just cannot trust. Like each one individually, red flag. All three, that man needs to be drawn and quartered.
So Boba was joking when he said Amazon. He said, "Imagine all the ads."
Yeah.
Oh,
sure.
true.
Somebody said,
let me ask you this: what
is it?
Apple...
Fantas said, Fantas Searcher. I'm not sure how to say. Is it Fantas Searcher? He said, "Hope not Tencent." Yeah, I hope not either.
Oh God,
that would be bad. But I don't think that would be compatible at all. That would be weird for Disney to be like, "Hey, Tencent, come buy us." Right. But like when you think about Apple, like we know the stuff that you're talking about, but do they? Like my biggest concern, I think, with Disney being bought is that somebody would go in there and number one, shut shit down, and then number two, I feel like they would tamper with what they have going on, and I don't think anybody knows how to do Disney better than Disney. So like, do you feel like Apple? Like I feel like if I had to look at the spectrum of them, like Google will be out the door immediately because they shut anything down that's not making them, a lot of money right away. Then I feel like Microsoft just has no business, buying them. It's too much. Like it's too much for them. I don't think they would be
allowed to.
Yeah, I don't think they would either. But I feel like Apple. They are getting into the TV space, right? And they do make really good shows. And if you figure taking their how good they are with their shows. You add that to the idea of Disney Plus. You're combining Disney Plus and Apple's, new kind of their TV situation. I mean, Apple doesn't really shut stuff down. Like, what product have they said, you know what, F this is over? Like, they drag shit forever.
Yeah, I'm sure that
like,
there's
they just
something,
keep
but I wouldn't be
updating
able
it.
to tell you. It's certainly not the Google graveyard, like 100%.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's much smaller, and it seems like they don't. The thing about Apple, this is the difference, right? And like, I know, and again, I'm indifferent. Like, I'll rock anything, but again, I'm just kind of locked into their ecosystem. But just from the outside looking at it, like, the thing about Apple, what I've always noticed is they are definitely always later to the party, but when they do it, number one, they know how to promote it and make it feel like they came up with it.
They do that very well.
But
Much like Sony. Sony
they do
is
that
good
very
with that.
well.
Much like PlayStation. Much like PlayStation, much like Tesla.
Yep.
I'm telling you.
But they
I'm telling you, it's
also
a vicious triangle.
but they also
That's all I
do
say.
a very good version of it, right? So it's not like they don't come late to the party and then half-ass it, right? Like, they give you, the at least equal to the best version of it, right? Like, every time they come up with something new, it works really well, even though it's maybe proprietary, and that takes it away from working with other people. Like, the fact that, I still get bummed out that I can't send videos like on my Android phone that I take correctly. Like, I have to use an app to make it work
saying.
right.
Yeah. I get
You know what I'm saying? Whereas
I don't think
iPhone,
I
I take a freaking 4K video, I'm texting it right over to my wife, and she's getting that shit right there ASAP.
It's some better
with
features
our-
when it
with our
comes to
stream,
Apple.
I don't
I'll
even
give
have
it
to.
that. With iOS, I'll give you that one. But I would say, though, Samsung and Android phone, that camera is untouched when it comes to that.
Oh, the camera's amazing. Especially specifically the zoom, right? I feel like Samsung does a lot with their software to let you take killer zoomed shots.
Yeah.
Because those are insane. That's the one thing that iPhone hasn't quite yet, stolen, and made it seem like they created it yet. Because we still don't have a deep.
So in the chat, I see
Zoom.
some people are saying Microsoft would have an easier time acquiring Disney. That'd be crazy. But imagine, though, if one of the Saudi Arabian companies, who are buying up a lot of stuff, by the way, what if they bought them?
That would be scary.
That would be scary. You
I
got
guess, okay.
half many running around in a burqa from now on.
This is,
Oh
this
my
is gonna
God.
come off like a fanboy take. I know it is, and I know people are going to be upset about it. I actually genuinely think Microsoft might be the best option. I don't know if they'd be allowed to,
Oh, man.
but we look at Microsoft, and yes, they've had plenty of failures, but we also know that they're a really great company to work for.
That's
We know
true.
that they would take care of their employees as best as they could, and we also know that they wouldn't
very
get
true.
into it unless they had an idea for
That's
it.
true.
So,
I will give you that.
Microsoft, I think Microsoft might be the best option for it.
Microsoft of today, right? Like,
Microsoft
this
today,
Microsoft,
yeah.
Satya's Microsoft,
Yeah.
I could see that happening.
Yeah, I
can see that
can give
happening.
you that. I can give you that. So people saying Microsoft, like our brother Fuzzy, you might be right. I mean, they're clearly ranked often at number 1 or 2 as the best place to work. So
yeah,
I
that would
can
be
see
an
that.
acquisition though that they would not be able to do cash. That would have to be that would be a stock trade. That would be a loan.
Oh, yeah.
That would be the biggest deal of all time.
No question.
and it would
How
not
much
be
is
able to
Disney
do
worth?
cash ever.
They gotta be.
I don't know, but
They've got to be close to.
there's
I would imagine.
there's no way they're worth less than Activision Blizzard, and that was the biggest deal in tech. So
Right.
man, Ooh, Lord Jesus.
167 billion.
Absolutely.
Oh,
not.
damn.
Absolutely.
Oh, damn.
I thought they were worth
That's
more
like-
than that.
That is the number some nations are in debt. Like that. That is not. Ooh.
What's crazy
Ooh,
is
boy.
Microsoft would have enough to get them eventually, as far as how the coffers.
Yeah,
and such.
no, I mean they would. It would be the most heavily scrutinized deal of all time.
Mhm.
People would be. I mean, God, people were freaking out about Call of Duty. Can you imagine? Can you imagine
Yeah.
what Dreamcast guy and MBG and all these dudes are going to be doing
They would
if
die,
Microsoft
bro.
rolls up tomorrow? And I'm not,
Would
for the
implode.
record, not advocating for this, but can you imagine if tomorrow we wake up and Microsoft is like, yeah, so we're going to buy Marvel and Lucasfilm and Pixar and Disney
Oh,
Parks
Oh
boy.
man.
and
Man.
my Lord,
Can you imagine the
Jesus.
reaction from our Hoove brothers? I can't even.
I don't
Yeah.
know if I would be comfortable with that.
It'd be crazy.
Like that's a lot.
I mean, I would be happy knowing that
It is a
Marvel is now owned by Microsoft. I would be happy about that. That much I would.
Yeah,
Be.
I guess.
I
Yeah.
would laugh because that's the end.
Oh, and then they would have to do the movie deals for
absolutely.
Spider-Man between Microsoft
Yep.
and Sony. That would be so dirty.
That would
And
be hilarious.
That would also be the end of Spider-Man on PlayStation, by the way. So I just want to throw that out there. But to move on to the next one, because we do have to move to the
so this one will be really short. This one's just for me. It's the last one. So we got our first trailer for. I'm gonna jump into the guest chat here if you want to pull it up because I really want you to watch it. But we got our first trailer for Kaiju number 8, an anime that I've been looking forward to for so long. I started reading this book when the first volume hit shelves in America. I am in love with this manga. I think it's absolutely amazing. I think it's going to be the next big thing. I think it really is going to be at least as big as a Hell's Paradise, maybe as big as like a Chainsaw Man. I don't think we're going to go like One Piece, Naruto levels.
Yeah. But
I think this has like this is going to be amazing. I really want people to watch this. It's phenomenal. I was worried at first because when they started showing it off, the first thing that they showed off for the anime for some reason was the CG models. And I was like, bro, don't. I hate CG in anime.
You and me both.
And then this trailer came out and it looks phenomenal. There's like one shot where it looks like there's something that's CG, but they cover it really well. So I'm not mad about it.
Oh, damn.
I like
This looks crazy.
I like the entire premise around Kaiju number 8 because
it's great. Yeah. So
I haven't gotten to it yet, but I had it on
really
my to read list, if you will. So I'm actually
so
very
the premise
excited
of
about it.
Kaiju number 8 is that the protagonist's name is Kafka Hibino, and he wanted to try out not try out. That sounds like it's a sports team. He wanted to join the Japan Defense Force to protect Japan against kaiju, because this is sort of like a much toned down version of like the Pacific Rim universe, where kaiju is just like a thing that come out of the ocean and cause trouble. But he couldn't because he kind of sucked and he was lame. And he had made a promise, of course, because it's an anime with his childhood sweetheart friend.
Right.
And she made it in, and she's like a big deal, and she's like up on billboards and stuff. And he didn't make it in. So he got into the team that cleans up the corpses of the kaijus after they're killed.
So
and then one thing leads to another. Yeah. And so he has this talent that he learns from this, where he knows how to take these things apart. So when later on, this is all volume 1, no spoilers, but he of course ends up fighting alongside the Japanese Defense Force, and he is able to look at a live kaiju and know immediately sort of how to take it apart and how to take this thing down as fast as possible. And so when he's sort of dragged back into sort of reigniting that dream of his by this character he meets named Reno, he just sort of becomes really good at it in every way except physical. And it's a really great story, phenomenal characters, really great writing. I don't know how well it'll be translated to anime, but this trailer has me very hopeful.
The trailer looks pretty solid. I can't play it just this moment because I didn't want to disturb the Baldur's Gate play that I have going on.
Fair enough.
But I will say the art style is something that drew me to it as well. It's really good art.
Yeah.
Really solid art, and we can cover this when it launches and we get into it more, because
I'll be talking about it regardless. You won't be able to stop me.
I'm like, Danny, let's stop. No, but one thing I will say, right? Except me. No, one of the things I do want to speak on is that to let the audience know we will be covering some things based on anime and such, where the show might not necessarily be just on gaming for that week. So, for our anime lovers and multimedia lovers in general, movies, TV shows, whatever, we could, for an instance, speak on more than just that. Next week, we actually have planned to talk about anime, probably going to do some type of tier listing and things like that. I'm still want to map it out to make it entertaining for us as well as the chat. And next week, we'll have C Money back here with us and his son, actually. So we're gonna have fun with that. Nice. I think we're going to focus on My Hero Academia more than likely. So. But should be a fun one. Yeah, should be a fun one.
It is.
So our brother Yodani Kuzada, thank you, brother. He jumped in with a $5 donation. He says, got to spend some bucks to highlight that our boy is monetized to the friggin' gills. But you must answer why Baldur's Gate has the hooved ones repping the RPGs. Yeah. The hate for Xbox is so strong that they are trying to use what is still a PC game and a CRPG, a classic CRPG game, to tear down Xbox. Isn't that something?
Yeah.
Don't that about beat all?
definitely
No
like-
reason.
I'm so pumped, by the way, with the. I know we're gonna. We'll just talk about it. It's like the first topic. Well, I'll
Yeah.
wait. Never mind. I was gonna talk about Baldur's Gate, but we're good.
Well, you know what? Do we have one more?
Nope, that's the last one.
So let's transition to it. So
Yeah.
the main topic for tonight is Baldur's Gate 3. I mean, we got this crazy reception with Baldur's Gate, as I'm sure all of us are aware of now, where it as of this moment it has an insane 97 Metacritic and a 95 on OpenCritic. It's insane. So right now, if you all didn't know, that beat Zelda, which I believe was Ocarina of Time. It beat it as having now, at least for now. I don't know if it have lower reviews. They might take it from 97, but right now it has the highest Metacritic of all time of any game. So
I'm curious to see when it starts coming out on like PS5. I'm curious to see what the reviewers who typically review console games are going to think of it. Because this is very much, from what I can tell, very much the type of game that PC players would be into. I'm not a PC gamer. Typically, I actually hate playing games on my PC. But this is very much a Daniel ass game. Like this, it looks like it's a little clunky. I haven't played it, and I really, really want to. Unfortunately, I probably won't until like next year.
I will say, so the gameplay I have showing right here, it's interesting. It definitely is a little different, but I can see the tactics behind it so it does remind me of a bit of strategy games. I can see that. I will say the visuals are really nice. From what I've seen, at least with the voice acting and all that, top notch. I do want to get both you guys' takes on it and more in depth. C-Money, and I know you've played a lot, so you can definitely speak freely on this. And of course, you, Epic, I want to get your thoughts on it as well, as far as your thinking on this.
Before you, as part of you guys talking about it, I would be curious to know, do either of you have like tabletop RPG experience? Have you played a Dungeons and Dragons or Pathfinder or anything like that?
Never.
No.
Never.
Not at all.
Okay. All right, because I'm very curious from it of this game, sort of in that direction. Because one of the things that obviously tabletop games are sort of great for is that you can do anything that your mind sort of thinks of. And I've seen a lot of gameplay of this. I haven't touched it myself, unfortunately, and it looks like that sort of aspect of it is pretty well realized in this. Like, it seems like there's 100 different ways to solve any different problem. Like, it's
Yes.
your creativity is a huge aspect of it. But it looks like the way to put those things into action gameplay wise might be a little clunky. Is that safe to say?
So I just think it's. I
Like,
think
just going
it's
through the
different.
menus and stuff to do
I
a
think
specific
it's different.
thing.
So like this, like the gameplay you're showing is from somebody who's playing with the mouse and keyboard, right? So I don't play with the mouse and keyboard because that would take me like it's what I just saw. I would not play that game because that is. I don't like that. But with the controller though, you can zoom the camera all the way down to basically like third person perspective, like over the shoulder type gameplay. And that's how I play it.
Okay.
And to your point, the whole tabletop aspect, there is a dice that rolls, right?
Yeah.
And the cool thing about this game, when it comes to the story and the dialogue and how you do things, how in a regular like like a regular game that has dialogue and you have multiple choices, right? And you have like those skill trees that you could build up. And if you have like enough skills, like Cyberpunk, right? Like if you have enough of your points in a certain skill, that dialogue option opens up, right? It's like, oh, now I could say that because my skills are good enough to say that, right?
I get it.
So,
Right.
So in this game, they do not regulate you to what you can try to say based off of where you put your points.
Oh, that's
right?
good. So they never like grayed out or anything like that type of thing.
Yeah, no.
That
So
makes sense.
they're
That's
there.
It's very D&D.
Yeah. So it says like strength, say this. Like wisdom, say this, and like this. But you even if you like, I'm a wizard, right? So I have like 0 strength.
Yeah.
But I could still pick the option, and what happens is whichever option you pick, whether it's the one that you have a lot of points in or one that you don't, once you pick that, then it goes to the dice. And it tells you what the score is, like what the roll has to be greater than for that to be able to happen. And what happens is if your points are in that particular thing that you chose, like that particular option, then the points required to beat are lower.
Oh,
that doesn't make it impossible, right? So you can say,
does it
I
make
want
it lower, or does it just help you roll higher?
No, it makes it lower. So like your dice is the
so
same.
It tells
you have a 20
number
die.
on the die. That makes sense. It's telling you what number on the die you have to roll.
Yeah, or higher, right? So like if for instance, if you have a tough one, it'll say, 15 you have to beat. Well, the die is 20, right? So there's way bigger chance that you're not going to hit it. But you also have like buffs that you can do that add a couple points, if you do it right. So like it doesn't limit you to say you cannot try that option.
That's cool. Yeah. It offsets
But
it.
the problem is that once you choose that option, if you don't hit it, then you're screwed. So then you're just going to kind of get the worst scenario that comes out of it, which I think is pretty cool, because it's like you're risking it, right? Like you can kind of say, you know what, I wanna say this, and then you take the roll, and it's like, you know what, it worked, and it's like, holy snap, and like you had it run out the way you wanted to. It's dope. I like it.
That's very cool.
So I just have a couple. I have a couple questions from like a tabletop perspective, and if you don't have that background, maybe we can sort of get through trying to figure it out. So do you know, is there any equivalent to like a dungeon master in this? Is there like a narrator, or like
there is a narrator?
That's like,
she does narrate to you. Yep, and then she will narrate during pivotal moments, just like a dungeon master would, I would assume, where she's basically like, I got to this cave where there was this big ass beast in there, and I walked up to, again, this is all kind of early stuff, so nothing's going crazy here, but you walk in and you see it, right? So you could choose to go over there, or you could choose to avoid it. But if you choose to go to it, the narrator kicks in and starts kind of telling you, like, the monster's approaching you. You see it kind of looking off to the side, but you're not quite sure what it's looking at. Yeah. And then you can choose, like, do I want to be in tune with her, or like whatever it is, right? And then it kind of says she's giving you a look, like she's giving you a chance to make the right decision, or it's not going to go your way. And it's like, oh shit, do I just leave, or do I? You know what I'm saying?
Something I'll add to that. I want Epic to chime in too, because I heard you about to say something, but I want to say too, something I saw watching some of the gameplay is, for one, you can get double die cast, and also.
That's advantage.
That's an advantage. Okay.
So that just means, yeah. So in D&D, there's advantage and there's disadvantage. Usually it's caused by different perks or different sort of scenarios. Like if someone gives you the help action, you get advantage, or if somebody like cripples you, then you get a disadvantage. There's all kinds of stuff. Basically, it just means in either of those situations, you roll 2 d20s instead of 1, and if you have advantage, you take the highest, and if you have disadvantage, you take the lowest.
I see. So also too, one thing
which happened to me once before
with the narration that you pointed out. I watched a few of the people playing it and such, and I saw that. I thought that was actually really actually entertaining to see how they would narrate these situations like you talked about. So my thing though, what I do, and Epic, I think you were about to say something. What were you about to say on it?
I did have a question though. I did have about the action bars there. If you're using a controller, would find that difficult navigating those?
It's a radial wheel. It's a radial wheel. So when you hold it, the screen pops up, and then from there, there's like 4 different circles that have a bunch of stuff on it.
Oh, okay.
And in the beginning, when I first saw it, I was like, what the but once you know where your things are, it's actually pretty easy. You just tab right over to the circle you're looking for, and then hold the diagonal button, hold the direction button, and where you want to click it, hit A, and then you selected it, and then you can use it after. So it becomes pretty easy.
In combat in this, it isn't real time, right? It's turn-based, like you roll initiative, and then it works that way, I would assume.
So you just basically, when you roll up to a battle, when it's your turn, you can move as like wherever you want, but up to a certain amount, right? So each character has a different amount of steps they can take, and that could be in any direction. And then once you move in a position where you want to be, then you're free to attack. You're free to, they have navigation movements you could do, like you can jump to a certain place.
Right. So they do break it down the same way as like a tabletop game. Then is that you have you have it like in your initiative order, and then you have your move action, your action, and then like a bonus action, right?
Yeah, you
That
could
makes
choose a
sense.
bonus action, or you could just end the turn. Yep.
Or like what's the other one? A reaction, but usually that doesn't happen on your turn.
So when you freely move
Yeah,
like
no.
that, you don't have to. It's not part of your. It cost you if you move around to position yourself.
No. You have the same amount of steps every time.
Gotcha.
Like that
Okay.
character can only move a certain amount of steps. So that doesn't mean you can stop halfway. You can stop. So like I can, let's say I want to, I don't use all my steps, but I move a little bit here. That puts me in a good position to use a range, attack. I use a powerful magic spell. I kill the creature. I can continue to move until my maximum steps are done. So
okay.
you're
makes
free.
sense.
It's not like you stop and then you gave up your moves.
I get you.
You can you can move wherever you want with your steps. You could.
So they're
ahead.
bringing in a little bit of like house not homebrew, house rules or whatever. Because I think I might be wrong. I think in the player's handbook you are supposed to take your full move action and then your action and not be able to split it up. But pretty much every DM just lets you do that anyway. So it's cool that they're doing that. I am curious. Yeah, I wonder. I don't know how. They probably don't tell you outright, but I'm curious if they use like 5th edition sort of mechanics, or if they use 4th edition. Because 5th edition is much more popular, but I do feel like 4th edition might work better for a video game specifically because it's very movement based. It's very sort of grid based. So I don't know. I'm really curious about that.
So
that I don't know, because I know you're not limited to where you can go. Like there's no grid based situation. It's not like
I guess the way that it would be clear, for your skills, do you have like a daily action or a daily skill, an encounter skill, and a at will skill, or is it just like, I don't know, what class do you play?
Wizard.
So you just have your like standard spell slots, right? You don't
Yeah,
have
like you level them up as you go on.
Gotcha. Okay, so that's probably
so
that makes sense.
Yeah, you have, so you pick, like you have a bunch that you unlock, and then you carry a certain amount. Like from that bunch you can kind of pick how many you want to have available to you at any given time.
I had to laugh because I realized, C-Money, that has to be one of your favorite used words.
I know.
You have to stop yourself. I'm like this man can't stop.
Good word.
It's so wild. Like I don't know why. I don't know why. You know what it is? This is why. This is how you know. This is how you know I'm having a good time.
Yeah.
Right. Because I feel like I'm comfortable.
You feel at home.
Right? So because I'm comfortable. Yeah, exactly. Like if I was somewhere where I felt like I had a watch, like you know what I'm saying. Not that I want to just be loose with it, but like
mom was watching.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I'm glad you feel that way. I just laughed because I heard you trying to stop yourself. I just like he's trying.
I still said it too late.
Yeah, it was too late, but you tried. I'll give you that much. So listen. So my question to you guys, and I'm going to go to you first, Epic, on this, is that this right here seems to be the new standard now, and I'm sure you all have seen it as well, with some devs coming out saying, "Hey, don't put this game against us to say you're not reaching this pinnacle, because that's unfair to us, and when it stops us from creating and things of that nature, and giving you games that you would in turn love, because you're placing us against something that is essentially a masterpiece." So my question to you, Epic, and to you guys as well is is this the new RPG standard going forward, in your opinion, Epic?
Oof. I don't know. I don't know. We've got such beautiful graphics in other games that this because it's so turn-based and you're not really moving all the time like these, other games. Like, Horizon Forbidden West is visually beautiful. There's no denying that. That's, to me, after playing that, even though it was terrible, flaccid storyline, etc., but the beauty of it is, to me, what people would want. Well, most people would want more. Most mainstream gamers would want more of it. It's a single player type of thing anyway. Right. But I don't know. I think this is still going to be niche, but I think it will grow. I think that this realm will blow up a little bit more.
Do you
think so?
Okay, so this seems like it gets pretty into the weeds of like pretty heavy, hardcore like CRPG mechanics. If it's literally just using D&D mechanics, then there's a lot going on there. Does it surface it in a way that you think it would be like massively popular, or do you think that most people would still prefer something like a God of War or a Horizon, like an RPG of that style?
Of
I
an
think
action.
most.
Yeah.
I think
Do they surface it in a way where all of the systems make sense, or is it just like there's a lot going on here, I'm just going to focus on the stuff that I care about?
Oh man, I think this is still gonna be. I don't think this is gonna change anything in that respect. The only thing that this does, because from my understanding, like Divinity Original Sin, which I didn't play, they're telling, like, people were saying like it's very similar to this game as far as like the choices and all those things. What it looks like is the reason that this is getting the attention is the amount of money they put into the game, like the graphical fidelity of it, how nice they make it look, the way they're doing the talking cutscenes, the dialogue, you know, the way that every actor is amazing in this game. Like those are the things that are bringing it to the forefront. And obviously, you know, I haven't looked for them or saw them, but you know, there's a lot of different sexual situations that are unique to this game that are out
did
there.
see one post that was like, Baldur's Gate 3 is incredibly horny and I am uncomfortable.
Yeah,
the bear sex simulator, basically.
I forget what news outlet
that's what
posted
people
that,
are
but
talking
it was
about.
a full article.
Yeah, so I haven't seen that, so I don't know, but I will say that, like, outside of this, like, for me, like the whole roll of the dice thing, I think that's pretty cool. I love the fact that it doesn't limit you, but the reason I ended up purchasing this, aside from the FOMO, was that somebody mentioned that it was like similar to like Wasteland 3, like that kind of style of having the choice outside of the D&D situation, right? Like having the choice and having all these things that can happen, and you know, that's what captivated me. And then I was like, all right, I loved Wasteland 3, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna give this a shot. And you know, it's a different game because it's not shooting, right? So it's like you have to, you know, you have your spells, you have your different things. See, like this is a perfect example of what it's showing right now. See how he just confronted the animal, and it's like, is he gonna run? Is he gonna fight it? Is he gonna kill it? Like there's different options, but if the roll goes your way, then you're a happy person.
Gotcha.
But I still feel like even that is going to be something that people cannot like. You know what I'm saying? Like they could be annoyed, like, no, I just want to click that this is what I want to say.
I just want to have my skill high enough that I don't have to worry about this. I get that.
Exactly. I mean, I personally like this version though. I think it's dope. Yeah. But I don't think anybody's gonna like when you look at Starfield. Like if you just saw this is very confined. Like the paths that they have take you far and wide, right? But be very clear, these are defined paths. She cannot just make a left right now and go into those bushes, right? Like
so it's kind of linear in a sense, like, you're saying.
So it's super linear as far as your paths are concerned. It's just their paths go everywhere. So that's why it's not linear, because you can go anywhere through these paths, but you can't just walk up to something and say, ooh, let me go look over here, because there's an invisible wall that stops you. You know what I'm saying?
Got you.
So that's sense. That's a whole different ball game.
Yeah. To put that in sort of D&D speak, I think what you're saying is basically like, because it's a video game, it feels very much like one of the like pre-written campaign modules, and not like one that your friend made or something that you can kind of go off in left field and just like completely change what the story is. Which is totally valid. I don't know how you would do that in a video game. You would have to, like, Baldur's Gate 3 would have to be like a tool set that a friend could make a D&D campaign in, which would be amazing. I don't know if they could ever do that, but it'd be really cool.
It'd be like Starfield and their mods, right?
Yeah. But I do think Starfield would probably be more easy to mod than this, just because Creation Engine is known for modding. But I am very excited to see what other people do with this game, and I do think it'll have a lot of story content or like additional campaign type stuff for like DLC.
So real quick, because it just was on the screen, right? So you saw how she went to that purple thing, right? That purple thing had all the lights blaring and stuff, right? It was like a portal.
Yeah.
And she went to it, and then she didn't partake, right? She bounced and left the area, right? So the thing is that, like, this is what I love about this game. Like, if she did partake, if she touched it, there's somebody there that if you help them, they become part of your team, right? So that like changes the story, because this whole person has a whole story arc. Yeah, it's a different party member, and he has his own stuff that you can now start going to do,
Interesting.
right? So like this person
You
completely skipped that, right? And is not going to experience that. And that's what's dope about this game. Like that was a choice that
It's a lot
they
of
made
branching
because it does
paths and
give you like
such
a
is
warning.
basically what you're saying.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it gives you a
So
warning. Like,
you-
are you going to touch it? The narrator is like telling you, like, are you sure you want to do this? Blah blah blah. And you know, that's dope to me. Like
Yeah.
that's really cool.
So one of the things you said earlier that sort of caught my ear is you said that you've also played Wasteland 3 and you were really into that.
Oh, I love that game. Hard.
So-
So hard.
so
And
you- so
I
you
didn't
have,
think I
like-
would either.
Right. So you have like kind of a history with sort of nittier grittier like CRPG type games then, right?
Well, that one. Like that
Okay.
one is pretty much it. Like, and that was again because of, you know, the hype was real, and obviously it was in Game Pass. You know, Xbox just had bought them.
Right.
It
Oh,
was
so you played it
coming
like
out.
maybe
I
a
was
little bit. Okay. Like,
no, I played it when it first came
Yeah,
out, but
it
it
was, like,
was
pretty
it was right at the Game Pass.
So in Wasteland 3, because that's a game that I would say is really good, but I don't think served the like heavier RPG mechanics in a way that made it particularly understandable for like not CRPG fans. I actually had a couple of friends who bounced off of it for that reason. Did you find that you personally didn't have any problems with that?
No, I loved it. I love
Okay.
the way they did everything. I love the combat. It was awesome. Again, it was the turn-based, but you know, I don't know, the way they delivered it, it just made me appreciate it. I really enjoyed how they did it, and the storytelling was just amazing. Like I'm huge into like great storytelling, and like just like in this game, like every voice actor was just phenomenal. You know, that's what's hard for me with like Final Fantasy 16. Like that's not the case. Every voice actor is not amazing. Like there's some good ones, and then there's some generic as people, and like that just like when you get something where the story's just so engrossing, it doesn't really matter the way they deliver, as long as you can, as long as it's they explain it well enough that you can have fun with it, right?
So that's interesting.
I think that
Okay.
That's interesting, by the way,
Yeah, I
because
think-
that goes to my next question. So you heard a lot about Final Fantasy 16, and a lot of our Who brothers have pointed out that it succeeded, and you know they pushed away this notion of turn-based games being more of a thing of the past when it comes to RPGs. So my question to you guys, and again, I'll go with Danny on this to start, is do you think this dispels the notion that turn-based RPGs are a thing of the past? And I asked that because
Oh, absolutely.
we think of Final Fantasy 16, and now we see the reception of this versus that, and both got good receptions. But you see now how the sales of that have been affected, and a lot of Final Fantasy fans have turned sour toward Final Fantasy because it went more action-based. So do you think this dispels that notion that turn-based games are a thing of the past?
Absolutely. I think that notion didn't really make sense from the get-go. I think that there was a quote recently that James Gunn had about superhero fatigue that I think is really applicable here. People asked him, you know, there are so many superhero movies now, people are starting to get a little tired of them. Do you think that that's going to be a problem? What do you think about superhero fatigue in film? And he said, I don't think people are tired of superhero movies. I think that they're tired of mediocre superhero movies, right?
Yes.
And I think that he's 100% correct. I think what it comes down to with all of these things is that if something is extremely popular, you're going to get a lot of it, and most of it's going to be mediocre to bad. But a really good version of that game is always going to shine through, right? So a really great action RPG is going to find its audience, and it's going to do really well. And a really great turn-based RPG is also going to find its audience. And I think we've seen that over and over again throughout just the entire history of video games. I don't think that I don't think that there's any one genre of video games that it's like this will never work. I think maybe some are harder than others to get off the ground. But I think if you just make a game good, then people will play it.
If you build it, they
Especially
will come.
with social media, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's like this is the thing. Social media is like could be the worst thing ever, but it can also be like something that's really useful. And like this game is a product of social media right now. Like,
Yes.
I bought it because not because of a review that I read, but because of the hype
Or
that
marketing.
everybody was
There's barely
putting
any
out
of
there.
that.
Yeah, it's because of the stories I was hearing and you know the comparisons people are making, that if social media wasn't around, I would have read a review and thought, yeah, of course that person likes it because that person likes those games. So I wouldn't even take like for this type of game, a review wouldn't work for me. I wouldn't read a review and be like, yo, I gotta go buy this, because I know that they're gonna put somebody on the review who is prone to liking these types of games, right? And if I don't think that I'm one of those people, then that doesn't relate to me, right? But hearing people who I know play similar games that I do, right, and talking about how good they like in this game, it's like, oh, okay, that's different, right? Like that's a different type of situation. That makes me interested. So that's one of the big things. And then the other thing I would say, like compared to turn-based, I think we also have to realize that turn-based is not one, like there's not one type of turn-based, right? There's multiple types of turn-based games. And that's a very big difference, because this type of turn-based game, the reason this one and Wasteland I was able to get into, because it's not just up, you enter the battle, stand there, wait your turn, pick your attack, hit the button, stand there, wait your turn. Like, that's whack to me. Like, I don't like that type of turn-based. But this is, you know, I get to move, I get to be strategic, I get to think, okay, maybe if I hit him with the high ground, that's gonna increase my percentage of my attack to hit him with my range.
You know why? And
right?
the reason why though, C-Money, because it's more than just the typical turn-based, it's more of a strategy style too, right? But you're right, the stereotypical JRPG style turn-based, I'm kind of there with you as well. I'd never liked the thought of me having to stand still while the enemy just hits me. So it's always
like that's a stupid ass battle. Like, who's fighting that way?
I get that. There's definitely a lot of. Again, I think this comes back to there's a lot of really bad JRPGs that do exactly what you're talking about. The really good ones though, they are able to make that sort of gameplay work because they add a certain level of strategic like levels to it. Like I think Persona and I think some of the Final Fantasies, like there are of course examples of that very standard turn-based gameplay that I think work phenomenally. But it's also, you know, just a matter of taste. If you don't like that game, you don't like that game. Like it just is what it is.
And there are some that's like that. For instance, I played through Octopath Traveler, right? That's a stereotypical.
I was gonna say Octopath Traveler, bro.
I loved it.
I was gonna say that one.
I loved it, man.
That one was really good.
It was, and it's the classic styling of it, the music, everything. I loved all of that, but it's a
the
classic
story was
turn-based.
really good.
Yeah, it was pretty solid. Like, and I think that worked well for that, but I don't know if it works well for me with every type of game. But it definitely worked for me.
You know why? Because I think that was the sum of its parts. It wasn't the turn-based, right? So you dealt with the turn-based because you liked everything else the game had going for it.
That's a fair point.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm definitely willing and able to do that. I'll play weird shit just because of a certain hook that I like. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like that's a very different thing. So Octopath is like a like not the rule, right? It's more of the exception. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like it's the exception.
I get you there.
Yeah.
I mean,
I also think there's different sort of maybe platforms where traditional turn-based works better. I think on like any sort of mobile device, traditional turn-based works better. Like anything where you're like not in a more action mood like mindset, I think that those games will always perform better there. Like I had a friend who traditionally hates turn-based combat, like old Final Fantasy games. And then the Pixel remasters came out, and he got those on his phone, and he played through Final Fantasy 1, a game that I would have never in my life imagined this man to play, and he said he loved it. So I do think there is a certain amount of just like meeting the games where they are and like being in the right mood at the right time. And you know, obviously not every game for every person, but I don't think that there's any style of game that cannot be successful.
That's true. Now, so that leads me to you, Epic, and my thinking of it is so you didn't care for Wasteland 3. So some of those type of strategy type games not really your thing. Maybe it seems, right?
That's right. I think it's just the theme at the end of the day. If I'm not into the theme, then I'm not going to
put time into it.
not gonna. No, that's exactly right. Even
Yeah.
you could. It's the same when it just comes to guns and magic wands. You know, it could be the same. Just the same sort of change the skin, and then I'm this is great. But once you've got guns, it's like it's aliens and guns, and I'm like, oh no, bye. Give it a 5 out of 10. See ya. And then once you put the magic in, once you put the elves in, it's like, it's
You like,
give it a 10 out of 10. Yes.
So you're more of a fantasy person then. You don't.
Yeah,
you're not big on,
absolutely.
like sci-fi. Yeah,
Exactly. Yes.
I see. So, well, then, what do you feel? Just to go off topic a bit, then, what do you feel about Starfield? Are you excited for that, or?
I know, isn't it? Isn't it an interesting one though? Because I know how amazing. Like when I was first shown it, I thought it looked. I said it looked like a piece of S, just because I wasn't used. Not used to it, and I was.
Nice.
I was.
You see that, C Money? You see that restraint?
I see it.
Was that the reveal?
I see it.
The Australians actually behaving. And then it wasn't till the showcase that I could appreciate how big this game was. I'm like, oh my God. So it's how many layers that game has that has my attention. You know, how is that going to be pulled off? And yeah, so I'm excited about it. I could be more if it had magic, then I'd be far more happy. But
and it seems like they kind of do if you look at the last part of that trailer.
A little bit, yeah. But you know,
Space magic.
I mean, I don't mind some guns and stuff like that. I like the jetpacks. I mean, that's a bit, you know.
Yeah.
I can pretend get the mods on.
Mass Effect or whatever. Did you play as an adept? You were doing all those biotic powers?
I didn't play much. I tried to play Mass Effect and I just couldn't.
Oh no!
Twice, yeah.
Right,
and I did the one with the Connect. You know, the way you did the commands through the Connect.
Oh,
and that was very
that
cool.
Was not okay.
Yeah, well,
so
that's as far as I got.
You didn't go in with the best first impression. I get that.
Exactly. Yeah. But I'm notorious for dialogue. Eric in chat knows this. Notorious for dialogue skipping, and this is why with Baldur's Gate I was like,
oh no,
this is not good. But I knew if I just sit down,
RPGs.
Yeah, I knew if I sit down and shut up, I would go, oh, this is, you know, if I could hyperfixate because I have ADHD, you know, with, you know, often in games you just want to kill, that type of thing. But when it's when you can hyperfixate on the story, then you'll just be immersed. And this is another subject that we're talking about yesterday was VR and how some people can become immersed in VR and some people just like, no, I can't.
That's me.
It doesn't do anything.
That's me. I can't do it.
Oh, you can't?
I can't do it.
I'm totally off topic, but it was an Oculus Quest and I played Vader and more Star Wars stuff. But I sat down in the spaceship on the ground in my living room with the headset on and I had lunch there because I was so immersed in this space. Like at the start of that,
Star Wars is probably the closest to fantasy you can get in a sci-fi. I mean, you're basically talking about wizards.
Yeah, right? Exactly. So that's why it's sort of.
I get that.
Yeah, and then like at the start of it, you've got your, you know, your VR headset, and then you turn around and you see the whole depth of this bloody spaceship, and I'm like, oh my God! And as much as I love VR, I don't use it that much because I become so immersed in it.
Does it make you feel sick too using it though? Like, do you feel like nauseous?
No, absolutely not.
Nauseated rather?
No. You take it off and you're like, oh, that's reality. And that's when I thought, oh, I'm gonna have a problem with this once it starts to get lit. Once VR starts to get amazing, because I saw the other day do you see that video of the girl sliding down the slippery dip, the water slide with the VR? It's a VR experience. They've got bikinis on, by the way, and they're sliding down these water slides with the whole VR experience, and they're going through jungles and stuff. And I thought, oh, holy, you know, you're getting this whole experience with splashing of water and everything like that.
Maybe I'm too self-conscious, Epic, because I not only that,
if you're a woman with a bikini top on, getting to the bottom.
Well, now you gave me an idea to use in freaky time. Hey, put these goggles on, girl. But
you put these goggles on, I'll just wait at the bottom. That's where I'll be.
Right.
All these dudes lined up at the bottom where the chicks land, and they can't see their top. It hasn't happened to me.
Okay, I see what I have to do now. But you know, my thing is though, I don't know. I feel like just me being self-conscious. I feel like I would, in my mind, I feel like I would be looking like an idiot with that headset on, like
they were like little.
There's no way to wear it.
So you do that shit by yourself.
Yeah, it's no cool way to look inside that thing.
No way.
She looked pretty damn good, though. I gotta say.
She did. Well, I got to see
Well,
this.
it's just the bikini top.
Share that link with me. But my thing too is about it. Like I think I think it's it's a niche device, right? Like we can admit that, but also too, like it's something where people can get motion sickness from. It's not something that I like traditional style gaming, so it's just not typically for me. I like to hold the controller in my hand, you know what I mean, and do my actions.
You know what? I can tell you right now, if you can stomach trying Half-Life Alex for a little bit, that shit will change your mind.
Yeah. I've heard
because Half-Life Alex is amazing. Like it is ridiculous. That is AAA to the next level.
Yeah.
And that immersion is crazy, man. But I haven't I played it only for a while. It's difficult to do VR. And that's the problem with VR. You know what I'm saying? Like you have to shut yourself out of the world, right?
I can do that bang, done.
Yeah,
I can.
Yeah, but that's hard. You know, if you have work, you have to worry about, you have family, you have kids, you have that's a really hard, all right, guys, listen, I don't exist to you for a hot 2 hours, okay? Just leave me alone. Somebody's dying, not my problem. I'll see you when I see you. You know what I'm saying? Like that, that's difficult to do, right? Like who wants to do that? And that's what sucks. Like they need to make this shit where it's just a pair of glasses. You know, like you put it on, boom, you're in. You can experience everything, but you're not lost to the world. Like you can still see your that will make it where it works.
Well, here's the thing for me, right? Because speaking specifically about the one where you're on the water slide or slippery dip or whatever you said.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I'm quite tall. I don't say this to brag, but I'm quite tall.
Yeah.
I'm 6'5". When I get on a normal
I had no idea you were that tall, Danny.
I'm quite large. I'm 6'5". I'm 260 pounds. Nothing on this planet is built for me.
Damn.
I had no idea.
I get on a normal roller coaster and I am afraid. Right,
you can lose your head.
Yeah,
I do not put my hands up because I am afraid that I'm going to lose my hands in some underpass that was not designed for somebody of my size. I am terrified all the time. If no chair in any restaurant is built my size. I'm not even fat. I mean, I'm not thin, but I'm not fat.
Right.
Nothing is built for me. I know for a fact if I put that headset on and I am blind to the world and I'm not able to defend myself, the second I start going down that slippery dip, I'm going to be slippery dipping out of that slide and breaking my neck. It's not going to work for me.
Yeah.
No, it's not going to happen.
I feel you.
I do not trust it for a second.
Me either. But I just to transition back to this because we're kind of over a bit right now. But I do want to move on. Yeah, we did. But that's
I went off a tangent from Starfield to VR. Back to that. Yes, I'll be covering it full bang from launch, early launch, everything.
Very nice. But see, to me, that's the hallmark of the great discussions when we kind of branch off. So I love it. So
yeah, man.
But I do want to be cognizant of you guys' time as well as the audience, and then my own because I got to head out to work after this. But anyway, so as far as Final Fantasy, and this is to all of you guys, and then we'll move to the next topic and kind of chime in as fast as you guys can on it, pace wise at least. So with this being the case, how do you think this will affect games like Final Fantasy going forward? Do you think they'll stick more to the action-oriented way of 16? Or do you think they might transition back to their style of turn-based?
Ooh.
I can go first on this one. I think that this game being as wildly successful as it is not going to it's not going to cause people to try and do exactly what this did. I mean, probably some will, but they will likely by and large fail horrendously because this is a full stop. This is a miracle that this worked out. The level of depth and insanity that is going on in this game. Any other team would have messed this up 100 times over. What I do think that this is going to cause is and maybe this is thinking optimistically, I think that the success of this game is going to show people that they don't have to make one very specific type of game for it to be successful. I think it's going to show devs that they are able to be more creative and add more depth and more interesting things and are able to maybe trust their audience to understand things more, because I do think the very traditional RPGs, or it's not traditional, like action heavy RPGs that we've been getting lately, like someone in the chat said God of War is not an RPG, and I agree generally, but it is listed as an RPG, right? Things like God of War, things like Final Fantasy 16 are what the modern day sort of sees as an RPG, and they're very, very bare bones in terms of actual RPG mechanics.
Yeah.
And so I think that the success of this game is going to cause developers to see that they can do the games that they want. They can add the mechanics that they want and not have to necessarily worry about it too much. And I think that's a good thing. I think that this is going to be a good thing for the industry, that this game is as successful as it is. And I'm really excited to play it.
That's a great
hopefully
point.
comes to Xbox, but worst case scenario, I'll just play it on my PlayStation. I'm not about to turn on my PC for this.
That is a great point, actually. I'm with you on that. I think this does open up that possibility for them to say, hey, you know what? It does work. If you make a great game, even if it is, this style of game, it can work. So I'm with you on that. But what about you, Epic? What's your thinking on it? Do you think that this might influence Square Enix when it comes to Final Fantasy to go back to their roots a bit, or do you think they'll stick to action?
I agree with all the previous points 100% easily. I think this is not a one-off. I think they'll build upon this one and expand it, like we've said before. But I think they'll go back to their beautifully rich games that have a lot of movement and stuff, and not the sort of stop and start. Because I just think this is only going to appeal to certain people and not the masses. We'll wait to see. Like I said, wait till see it comes on console, because I don't think a lot of people will play a whole bunch of hours compared to PC gamers. But we shall see.
That I agree with you with. I'm interested in learning and seeing just how many hours our Hoove brothers, who glorify action-based third person behind the shoulder action game, I want to see how much hours they put into this. I will be very pleasantly surprised.
Well, their attachment rate for their first party games is already not great.
It's true. So true.
I wouldn't necessarily think
sad.
this is going to be
So true. That's a good point too.
That's sad.
But
and they're very hesitant about showing their trophies and the time played too, which is fascinating to me.
To be fair, I don't think anyone's going to platinum Baldur's Gate. Like, that's going to take ages.
Yeah.
Wow.
When you look at played time and things like that, they're very reluctant to share any of it.
True.
Every single time I'll say, how much you played of this or that game, and they're like, they disappear and they vanish. So.
But they love to try to call us out on the games we didn't play. Apparently, yes, that's funny. But what about you, C Money? What's your thinking on it? Do you think it'll influence Final Fantasy, the Square rather, to go back to their roots on it, or you think that maybe they'll stick to the action-based thing of 16?
So as far as Final Fantasy in particular is concerned, I think this is the way forward for them as far as what they're doing currently, going the action route. I think Final Fantasy kind of lost its luster over the years, and I think there's a reason why Final Fantasy 7 is still the one that's
revered,
the one that everybody talks about as the best Final Fantasy, and that's 9 entries ago. It's just unfortunately, I think that even though turn-based is not dead, obviously it can be done. I think for Final Fantasy, I think the people who used to love that have found other games that they like. So if they want to keep it going, I think they're moving in this different direction, because they're trying to reach a broader audience that hopefully will like it. And yeah, maybe this one took the L a little bit compared to maybe what the last one was. But I think overall, if they keep down this path where they're kind of giving you that grand story that Final Fantasy delivers, right? Like the big story, but give you the more, easy to grasp action part of it, I think that'll be a good look for them. The thing about this particular game, Baldur's Gate 3, I don't think there's going to be a lot of people who look at this and say, man, this means we can do it. Because I think people are very well aware that this was a special situation. That the quality level that they did this at, again, as far as the voice acting is concerned, that literally is everything here. If I would have put this game on and the voice acting was Final Fantasy 16 level, I would not have been like hooked here.
Yeah.
Especially when you think about like other smaller companies, right, who might try to do it, like they're not going to reach that level. So I would have never even, like, I would have shut it off so long ago. Like, it has to be engaging, and they just, they have the right technology. Graphically, it looks great, but the voice acting, the storytelling, how many options they put in there, like, they did crazy stuff to make this game. And I think that anybody who like watches it, like sees this game and thinks, oh, now this means we can do it, you're fooling yourself. Unless you're a huge entity who's like, okay, we're gonna put massive resources into this. We're gonna go find the same D&D heads that like made this happen. We're gonna go pick their brains and we're gonna make our version of this. Unless somebody's looking to do that, like, this is competing at like a high level. This is not for the masses of like smaller companies to be like, okay, let's do ours, because it's not going to compare. It's not that it wouldn't be a good game, but those same people who are doing that are going to continue to do that regardless of how this one came out,
right? Because
they know the level that they perform at, right? Like, they know how good their quality is going to be, right? Is that other game? What's the name? It's like Pathless. Is that more of a Diablo game, or is that more like this game?
You talking about Path of the Exile?
Path of the Exile?
Yes,
Path of the Exile.
Diablo
Okay.
style. Yeah, it's Diablo style.
It's more Diablo style. Okay.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I
hear you on it.
I feel like it wouldn't be a huge difference.
I hear you on it. My thinking though is that I'm wondering, in general, just how, because some games can be very influential, and I feel like this now setting the new record for the highest rated game of all time. I feel like it's going to have some fallout to this. I'm wondering, and with the reception that Square got with Final Fantasy 16, I mean, obviously it didn't appear on other platforms at the same time, but I reckon that they imagine it would still do much better than that still on PlayStation alone. So I'm just wondering how much something like this, where Larian is showing making a great game, no matter if it is turn-based and strategy-based, can sell. So I'm just wondering how positively this will affect, or maybe negatively, depends on how you see it. I guess will affect gaming.
There'll be some people who try to recreate it and will fail.
Yeah.
So it will negatively affect some 100%.
People. Yeah.
For sure.
Absolutely.
I mean, I think we're out of that. The one thing, and it's, we were talking about it on Web Dave's show, Gamers Council, when I was on there with John Wolf. He was he brought it up, and I did, like, it made sense. I remember a time when a big game came out, and then there was like 50 other companies making that same type of game, trying to ride that wave. 100%. And I just don't think we're there. I think people understand that this game.
I think a lot of devs would be intimidated by trying to do this.
That's what I was just about to say. I feel like they're going to be like, yo, how long did it take to make? You know what I'm saying? Like,
how long did it take to make this, actually? Now that you mentioned it.
It's been in early access or
2 years, right?
For a really long time.
It's been over 6 years, I know.
Okay. And Larian, by the way, I came to find out, thanks to our brother Lon on Twitter, they have more developers actually at Larian than they do at Bethesda. I did not know that. Because a lot of people
think they have like 300 or 400 people.
400 plus, I think. And I thought it was less than that, but it's much more, actually.
Yeah, Eric Reed in the chat said it was 300, but maybe they've grown recently.
Yeah, I think it's 400.
It's somewhere between 300 and 400.
Yeah, I think it's like 450 something of that nature I saw. That's what a brother of ours posted.
I could see that.
Yeah. So they got a good amount of people.
So they're fairly big. They're not small.
They're not small at all.
They're not small.
Yeah, even 300 isn't like small. So yeah.
No, it's not like a Ubisoft or anything, but in terms of like a single independent developer, that's pretty large, actually.
It is, yeah. And this right here, I think, has raised their profile even more now. So I wonder how much they're going to grow.
No, this is somebody is going
what do
to
you
try
think
to acquire
about
them very quickly.
Yeah, so that's what I was about to say. Wait, what do you think about that? Because I know Microsoft had them on the list. They wanted to, they were part of the people they were looking at to acquire. And then the guy who owns Larian says that he appreciates it, is flattered, but like he doesn't want to get purchased. Do you really think if Microsoft pulled up with the bag?
Money talks. I already know where you're going with it.
You know what I'm saying?
I know where you're going.
Remember
Money talks.
Minecraft. Remember Notch? Notch said he would never
sure did.
sell.
Yeah. That's always that
And
way.
he
Like
sold.
for me, when I hear people say that, it means that you just didn't get the right amount of zeros at the end of it at that point. That's all I hear. So
That's fair.
yeah, money talks.
I do think people will try. I think that maybe they'll hold off on it for a while. People are definitely going to be knocking at their door if they're not already. Like people will absolutely try. I would hope desperately that whoever acquires them has to be somebody who's going to allow them to continue publishing on PC. So I don't necessarily think that I see them going
It would have to be
to
Microsoft.
it would, like, in terms of the big three, it would have to be Microsoft.
Yeah.
If it went to,
Yeah, it would
like,
have
I
to
could
be
see
them.
it going to like a EA or something, like one of the, I mean, not specifically EA, but you know what I mean, like a third party publisher maybe.
Like a
But of
Take-Two or
the
something
big three,
like
the
that.
console, the platform holders, the only one I could see would be Microsoft. But also, they have a lot of RPGs. I don't know if they need another one, even if it is like by Metacritic the best one ever made.
Yeah.
So who knows? I don't know. We'll see.
So guys,
Can I say, sorry, just one more thing? Can I say my hope for this is that now that they have the engine worked out and they understand how to make this game, I hope that there's a pretty fast turnaround on like new campaigns of this same style.
Yeah.
If they do their take on like classic D&D campaigns, like if we see sort of their take on a Curse of Strahd or their case of their like a Icewind Dale or something like that, I would love to see that. I hope that's where we're going.
Yeah.
So they said that they want to move to a smaller game next.
Who said
so
that?
like the Larian.
Did they?
So I don't know how much bigger they could go.
Yeah, they said they want. Well, yeah, I mean, I think they want to move away from like this humongous game, like almost like this was a big accomplishment for them, and they're just gonna let this ride, and they want to stick to like things with quicker turnarounds. There was some type of interview Larian did. I forget who it was with. The guy, the
director.
Owner. Yeah, I think it was Skill Up's channel.
Okay, I'll have to
maybe
look
Skill Up's
into it.
channel.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, this is a big 200+ hour game. I can see that. Makes some sense. So listen, I want to transition to this because we are well over. So we're going to move over to this.
About that, man.
No, you're good, brother. Listen, it's never a negative thing for me to hear good takes. So, by the way, guys in the chat, if you have not done so yet, please hit the like button. And also, if you haven't subscribed, and maybe this was the turning point for you, hearing all of us here and talking and loving and enjoying gaming and talking in the company of each other, hit that subscription button, to join us. So I'm going to ask about Killer Instinct, and I'm going to cut out the last topic, which was about Modern Warfare 3, which I was kind of vamping on anyway. So that one is not that big, but Killer Instinct, as we heard now, it's seemingly back with Iron Galaxy, led by James Goddard, leading the charge with a free 10th anniversary, update later this year that includes a balance update, improved matchmaking, and 4K support for the Series X and S. So my question to you guys, and I'll start with you, Treasure, because I'm not sure if you're a big fighting game or fan or not.
Absolutely not.
You're not?
No, you can pass the parcel. No.
Well, I'll still ask it to you. I'll still ask it to you, but at least it'll be quick to get to everybody, so we can wrap it up anyway. So that's perfect. So do you think with this news of that, is there, in your opinion, hope? And for all of you guys, is this hope for a revival of this beloved fighting franchise? Hearing this news.
Well, it's not that. Because it's not massive. Well, I suppose it's massive for people that love it, isn't it? But for the rest of us, we don't really. It's kind of.
No, I hear you.
Right.
Yeah. But do you think, though, hearing this with them coming out with this 10th anniversary update and things like that, do you think it means that there's possibility for them to make a new sequel?
Yeah, probably. See how it fares. I don't think that it could be bad. If the
pretty big. It's funny they have a solid support behind them, actually, more than I would have expected.
What was the reason why they didn't? Yeah, what was the reason why they didn't do it sooner, though?
Possibly, I think
it's because the team. Yeah, it's because the team that made the previous Killer Instinct is not Microsoft first party, and they kind of fell apart a little bit. So it's been honestly kind of a mess over at Iron Galaxy. Or there was another team actually who did some of the other seasons.
Double Helix. Double Helix was the first one, and they got bought off by Amazon.
It's been a really complicated sort of situation with that game's development because it had multiple seasons, and the different seasons were made by different studios, and it was just it's just a mess.
True.
So that's probably why it's taken so long to make another one. I do think they will, and I do think they should. Unfortunately, I am in the same camp as Treasure, where I really don't care about fighting games like at all. Sometimes I'll play through the campaigns if I'm like really interested, but I just don't really play games competitively. I play games to relax, not to
sweat,
rip somebody's spine out through the butthole.
Not to sweat and be pressured. I get you. No, I get that. So, C Money, same question to you. Do you think this right here opens the door for that possibility? And maybe they're waiting to see. Microsoft is kind of using this as a gauge to see how big it could be. You know, especially with them showing up at Evo. They showed up at Evo, so it's going to be back there. So, do you think this opens that door for that?
I absolutely think so. I think that they, the guy who was running it was Ken Lobb, and he's not the guy who came out. They have like a new guy who's running it. So like, why go through the hassle of having a new guy who's going to run it if you're just doing a patch?
Iron Galaxy it's run by that one guy. What's his
James
name?
Godwin?
He used to be a PlayStation guy.
No,
not him.
It's the guy from the. No, it's the Microsoft Touchpoint, right? So the Microsoft guy who's in charge of Killer Instinct, who deals with Iron Galaxy, right?
That's Ken.
So Iron Galaxy does the work, but the Xbox guy is the one who Ken Lobb.
Yeah,
pretty sure it was
Ken Lobb is
Lobb.
like one of the original people behind Killer Instinct, if I'm not mistaken. Because I remember when he came out on stage forever ago to like, hey, we do it, it's coming back. I remember people were really excited to see him specifically at the helm of it. So I think he is like a luminary, but I think the guy in charge of Iron Galaxy specifically, I think he's that guy he's the guy from the This Is How You Share play the games on PlayStation.
The guy.
Oh, Adam. His name is Adam Boyes. Yeah.
Adam Boyes.
Yep.
So,
by the way, Iron Galaxy is based here in the lovely city of Chicago. By the way, I just want to throw that out.
That
there.
explains what. That explains why
Hey, we won't take any more slander towards Chicago, okay?
Look, y'all used to have one good thing, and it was CM Punk. Then he came out and showed his balls on stream, and now we're not down.
Wait, did he really do that?
He was
oh my god!
Really
not literally, but yeah, it turned he hasn't. He came back into wrestling a little while ago, and then it turned out that he was like, in the mighty words of Taylor Swift, "Hi, hey,
man.
It's me. I'm the problem. It's me."
Oh wow! Speaking. And listen, we had Midway, by the way, here. So I want to throw that out there. Midway Games, Killer from
Midway.
Speaking of Killer Instinct,
Mortal
Kombat.
Booty was from out there.
Absolutely.
Well, when you and your boy Sophocles used to go out to the night sky and stare at the stars, that was the first video game, and it was made by Midway. So I understand that.
Yes. But what about you though, Danny? What's your thinking on this? Do you think this is a chance for a revival?
Yeah, I think that this is. I mean, we know that the desire is there. I think I might be wrong on this, but I think we have heard people like specifically ask people at Microsoft if they're planning on doing it, and they've never said yes, but they've never said no, which I think is a little bit telling. Like they're definitely looking into it. I don't think that it would be like if so, this is not a game that's going to come out like next year, right? It's going to be a little while. But also, this would probably not be the best time to put out a new fighting game anyway, because they're putting out a bunch and they're all really
There's
good.
a million
like Street
of
Fighter
them.
just came out, and like Mortal Kombat, and like this is maybe the first and only year where the fighting game category at the Game Awards is actually going to consist of all fighting games, which would be amazing.
That's pretty crazy. Yeah, I mean, I know they had to squeeze in some other things the previous years to try to make them fit. But now this is actually a revival of fighting games this year. For sure, it's a renaissance, if you will.
Yeah, there's fighting games everywhere
also,
now.
Evo,
It's crazy.
now PlayStation owned Evo was, I think, this week or the previous week. They announced some stuff. I didn't put it in the rundown. But they just announced like a bunch of new characters coming to like Mortal Kombat 1, and they showed off that $15 Ninja Turtle skin for Street Fighter.
Oh, isn't it
$15 or $60
right?
for all four?
Yeah, ridiculous, man. What were they
really
thinking
stupid.
with that? Yeah.
I think you know why? Because of the way you play with them. You don't play with them as fighters in matches. They're basically a costume for your creative, like the story mode, right? Wow. Like your creative character. So I mean, realistically speaking, you're not. I would say that the way they're looking at it is that if you're using it for your avatar for the story mode, you're not going to start swapping your avatar all the time to play the different Ninja Turtle. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
They probably figure you're gonna pick your favorite one and rock with it. Which, you know what? I'm gonna buy that damn game, and I'm gonna buy Raphael, and that's gonna be the way I rock it.
Naturally, Raphael
So-
being the best turtle, of course, you know.
He absolutely is the best turtle. He's the only one that is actually. Isn't he the last Ronin? I don't know that to be true.
Well, I don't want to spoil
But
anything,
is
so I'm
that
not
the
going to
case?
tell you. I'm not
He
going to
is the
spoil
last
it.
round. But all I remember from the
See, I knew
was
he
it the
would be because
first-
he's a badass. Survival of the fittest, bro.
It was the first Ninja Turtle movie, the one from like the 90s
The
or whatever.
classic.
I remember him
Oh,
being
yeah.
an absolute goober in that. Like he lost his
I
side,
loved
I
him
think,
on
like
there.
3 or 4 times, and like he was always
Hell
the one
yeah.
getting knocked out and stuff.
Yeah.
And so that was my first
He was
introduction
reckless.
to,
He was in
his
to the Ninja
emotions,
Turtles.
bro.
And so I was just like, Raph's kind of a nerd.
He was
Like,
just
Raph's
emotional
like-
and reckless. Remember, he got thrown in the garbage can.
Yeah,
and
he is.
He got away. He's like, damn. Yeah,
he's
that's
just
my
mad.
man. That's my turtle
mad.
there. I would say my
That's
man,
right.
but that's my
There you
mutant.
go.
My mutant right there. Absolutely.
We just
That's
went
my
to see we went to see the Barbie movie this weekend,
Oh,
and
yeah?
when we were at the it was really good, by the way. We just did a her, him, and a mic on it. But we were at the getting concessions and stuff, and I look up and I see that they have the can for because the Ninja Turtle movie's out. And they have the can for the Ninja Turtles, and it comes with like this dope ass mask, obviously like for kids, but I don't give a shit. I want to have it. And the cup comes with the figure on top.
Yeah.
I was like, yo, I need that. And man, they tried to tell me that they didn't have Raphael. I was so mad, but then they went back there and they kept looking and they found it. So I got
Nice.
me the dope ass
Somebody,
Raphael cup.
you know why, right?
He's on it.
Somebody back there tried to hide that for themselves. That's the only reason it
Yup.
was.
They're trying to hide it for
Yeah.
themselves. You-
Oh, we found
they
it.
got
You
it.
did pull the little bit of the Karen move where it's like, do you have any more in the bag? 9 out of 10 times, as someone who's worked retail a long time, 9 out of 10 times the answer is no. If we had it, it would be on the floor.
Right.
So what we do is we go into the back, we stand around and look at her phone for about 5 minutes, and we come back. It wasn't there. It wasn't there. Sorry, dude.
See, that's
Sorry,
what
bro.
makes me mad. I'm like, you
Oh,
bastard. I know
man.
you
It's
have
not
one
back there. It's not back there. It was never going to be back.
It
I
is.
promise
You're
you.
hiding it. You just don't want me to have it. That's a problem.
You're like, can I? See, money was out there. Can I speak to your manager? He did the full
That's
Karen.
what
move.
you're doing.
It's not typically
Hi.
that nice. It's not
Hi,
typically
Mr.
that
Movie
nice.
Theater, I demand my Raphael straw or whatever. I need it now.
So
Like, how
listen.
you gonna run out of Raphael? You know what I'm saying? Come
What
on,
the hell?
come on.
Right. Order
Well, you
more.
said he was like the most popular one. That would be probably the one you would run out of. It's like him and
I mean, he
Leo,
is the most
probably.
popular one.
Yeah. That's
Because
what you know.
anybody who thinks
Overstock.
otherwise-
Overstock with
Dude.
him. Yeah. But listen.
Yeah,
No.
exactly. If you know he's the most popular,
Yeah, load
Be
up
ready
on
for
that.
that shit.
Absolutely. But listen, I love me some CM Punk too. By the way, I want to throw it out there. I see Eric Reed said he's awesome. Look in my eye.
Uh,
What do you see?
he's not as good in the ring as he used to be, and also he's a dick.
Yeah, he is that. That much I agree. But so listen, we've come to the end of this. The last topic was going to be about Modern Warfare 3. Like I said, I do want to touch on it as not to be made a liar with the title, but I can change that anytime. To edit that out. But I do want to say we have the Modern Warfare 3 launching this
Get
year.
rid of it.
So I'll quickly say this and then we'll end this, and I'm going to sign you guys out, let you guys do your outro. So Modern Warfare 3 is coming out later this year, November 10th to be exact. My question to you guys really quick, and we'll go around really fast to everybody, just to say that we did touch on this, and I know the audience will be like, you didn't really get into it. We didn't, unfortunately, because we went over. It's releasing this year, but with Microsoft now having crossed major hurdles, including overcoming the FTC, as well as now working on concessions through the concessions with the CMA. Do you guys think at all that the ABK acquisition will clear in time for them to drop? Not this game, because we know they're obligated contractually with Sony, so they can't just throw this into Game Pass. But do you think that we'll see past Call of Duty titles possibly being added this year into Game Pass? And we'll quickly go around, so anybody can jump in. Everybody quickly give your thoughts on it.
Yeah. I think just really quickly, I think I have a bold prediction. So I think that Modern Warfare 3 will not go into Game Pass this year. I think that it's probably contractually obligated not to. And I think Jim Ryan is probably petty enough to not let that happen. So I don't think that's going in this year. I do think all of the previous ones will go in pretty much as soon as it's finished. And I think that whatever the most current game that goes into Game Pass is, that one's multiplayer servers will be nearly as popular as the new game when it comes out, just because of how many people will have access to it.
True.
I really think so. I don't think it'll surpass it, but I think it'll be really close.
Yeah. What about you, Epic? What you think?
Yeah, I agree. I think they'll be available. Not 3. Agree. But yeah. I think there'll be a lot of people playing the campaigns that wouldn't have otherwise. So yeah.
Do you think on as far as that goes that they would curate which ones they would put in, or do you think they would do more of a mass?
I think they'll drop mass. I think it'd be weird to go, oh no, we're just gonna leave those ones like shelf. I would dump them. I would put them all. That's what a big beautiful surprise that would be. That's something to be excited about. But if they sort of go, oh no, can have a little bit here, a little bit there, it's a bit weird. They don't need to. You know what I mean? It's odd.
Yeah, I can see that too. What about you, C Money? What's your thinking on it? Do you think that they will possibly put any of those games in there this year?
So I do believe that, but I believe the opposite. I believe that Modern Warfare 3 will be there this year because I believe Jimmy Boy doesn't want to keep paying the extra 10% that he's paying to help market Microsoft's games. So I think he's going to back out of this contract. And we kind of already are seeing with the marketing of Call of Duty right now, Xbox had an official tweet with the actual information going out, whereas PlayStation is like retweeting Activision's tweet on it. I think you're seeing the pole position change right now when it comes to who is talking about this game. And Xbox is out there doing it right now. And I don't think if this deal was going to stay, I think part of that 10-year deal that Call of Duty got was to drop this deal and just take 10 years at that price that you want, which is at your 30%, versus having to stick to the end of next year because even though they're not getting the next game until this is the last game they're getting, the actual deal is till next year. So all of the money throughout this year and next year is all going to be at 20% to PlayStation if they keep it, versus breaking the deal because they're going to lose it anyway. And at the point where they're going to have the most amount of PlayStation Call of Duty players, they're going to get it at 30%, right? They're going to back out of their contract, go back to the regular 70-30 split. They make 10% extra because you got to remember, as time goes on, right? Not this year, right? This year is too soon. People are not going to know. People already have their PlayStations. They're not switching to Call of Duty, Xbox right now for Call of Duty. But over the next year after that, you're going to start seeing people who are going to be making decisions saying, well, I want to go to Xbox because they have Call of Duty in Game Pass, along with Diablo and all these other games they have in Game Pass, right? So that's going to be going forward. So this year is going to be the biggest year that PlayStation is going to have with the Call of Duty brand going forward. Every year after that, it has to be a lower number because people are going to start seeing that it's Xbox has it in Game Pass, and that's going to cause a lot of people to move. I really believe that. So I think they're going to want to take advantage of the fact that extra 10% in Call of Duty numbers is huge to get back for them.
Yeah.
And especially with Jimmy, he pretty much said as much in, during the trial or whatever, when they were doing the court stuff. He said it doesn't make sense for him to market their game.
True. He did say that.
Right?
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? He said it. He said it doesn't make sense for them to do it. So why give up 10% of the billions of dollars that game brings in, right? Like, why give up 10% of that to help market Microsoft's game? You know what I'm saying? I just don't see it. I think they back out. I think Xbox will be free to put the game into Game Pass, and I think that's going to be their huge November game.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, that makes some
That would be
sense,
Could
man.
definitely happen.
It would be crazy to have that drop into Game Pass. I'll just say that. I mean, imagine if that did. And we talked about this
It'd
on
be
Tuesday's show.
game-changing, bro.
It would, and we talked
Yep.
about it on Tuesday's
Yeah.
show about how amazing that would be if they could put something like this and advertise it on the box, right, for the holiday. You know, because we at the end of the day, we know Call of Duty is about to sell like gangbusters. It always does. So, you know, imagine that being a part of Game Pass or put into the advertisement of the Xbox. It would be crazy for this fall. But
That'd be insane.
absolutely. So listen, we got to get out of here, guys. Thank you all for being here with us so long. We went over by a bunch, but you know, it was still a good talk. I enjoyed it very much, and I think you guys were great guests. And I'll start with our lovely lady first, Epic Treasure. Where can people find you? I do have, you guys, by the way, your Twitter information inside the description. But if you all have a link that you all want to post or anything like that, please do so in the chat. Where can people find you, and what will you be up to this week?
Ooh. Mine's twitter.com. I'm typing it as I go. Epic Treasure with a 1 after it. I will be likely playing Baldur's Gate 3. Fingers crossed.
Nice.
I've only got, it's just been sitting there, and I'm like trying to sort my graphics settings out so it's like ready to go. But I'm doing a whole Let's Play series on that because I know that I'm gonna get full bang immersed in it. And I don't know what else. I don't know if I'm going to get hooked into that and then the world can just fall away and nobody else exists. I don't know how that's gonna fare, but yeah, it'll be a nice series, I think. But yeah, hopefully I have enough time to get it done before Starfield. I'm pushing it. I know I'm pushing it. But yes.
Right. Yeah. Sounds good. I look forward to your streams if you do. I'll come by and support. You know
Yes.
how I hold everybody down. You know how. But yeah, thank you. No, thank you. Thank you for coming through and gracing us with yourself and your takes on things. And of course, you know, you promised to secretly you send some dollary dues my way. No, I'm joking.
Yes, I do.
Dollary dues.
There's special ones.
The special dollary dues.
Special ones.
But and that leads us to our next and last guest. Of course, not last, but our only other guest. C Money. Brother, thank you for joining us, and we will have him back, so you all will know. C Money will be back with us next week, which will be more of an anime-focused podcast. We'll be doing something interesting for that, so still come by and show us love, and don't turn your ears off of it because it's not just about gaming, all right? Come by. So, C Money, where can people find you, and what will you be up to this week?
Thank you so much, guys, for having me. I really appreciate it. It was awesome doing this. As you can hear by my S bombs, I was having a really good time. So it was really cool. It was nice meeting you, Epic.
Yeah.
So this was awesome. Yeah. So on Twitter, which is the only place, and you know that I don't call it X, so it's gonna be Twitter forever for me. On Twitter, I am at C Money Forever. Which is the number 4 and then the word ever all together. And then our channel is called Mario Kart Madman. It is, even though it sounds like a Nintendo channel, it's not a Nintendo channel. It just so happens to be the name that we made for my kid back in the day. But we have a bunch of stuff we do on there. We do we do live streams of new games, old games. We have different series I do with my wife where she plays, old games that she never played before, like bangers that she never got to play. And, we go through them together. So we have a lot of different shows that we do, but every Saturday we have our podcast. It's called On Point, the Gaming Newscast. It is every Saturday, but we do not have an exact time. Because we got a lot of kids, we got a lot of stuff going on. It's very busy. So we're more like a pop-up podcast. It's going to be on Saturday, but you have to be subbed and have the bell on so when we pop. I do normally put it on Twitter too, so if you follow me there, you'll have an idea of when we're going live. But we cover gaming news for the week. We cover anime news. We cover kind of like this, and TV and pop culture, TV and movies and stuff. So, we have a good time. It's me, my wife Doodle, who's in the chat. And
nice.
Madman, who's he was in the chat a little earlier, who's going to be here next week. We do it together. My daughter, Purpleberry, she's always in the chat, you know, kind of chatting it up with people, and
That's pretty dope,
you know,
man.
keeping things cool. Yeah, so it's pretty awesome. We have a really good time, and you know, just like this, like you see my comfort level here. This is what I feel. You know,
That's
I
perfect.
I feel like I'm home, getting to chat it up with my people. So,
Hell yeah.
you know, it's a fun time. It's great. You know, we like it, and you know, we're looking across the 11K mark. We have, you know, we're close to 11,000 subs. So we would love it if you guys came by, checked us out, throw us a sub. You know, come hang out with us in the chat. You know, it's like here where, you know, we're more free flowing, and you know, people in the chat are pretty much part of the conversation too. You know, they say things and it just sparks us to go in different directions and stuff. It's a fun time. Come check us out. I don't know how to make a clicky link, you know, so you have to probably copy and paste that link to make it work.
Let me see if I can do that for you right now. And guys, when I post this, if you could show our brother some love and go and subscribe to him.
Absolutely.
It's Mario Kart Madman, right?
Yeah, Mario Kart Madman. We're the only Mario Kart Madman that I've seen on YouTube, so we don't want to change it
really fast for you. I found you, and I was supposed to subscribe last time we talked, by the way, but I did it now. So,
well, that's right, man. I appreciate it, bro.
No doubt. Brother, thank you for being here, though, and I do love that aspect. There's the link. So you guys, please show our brother some love and yeah, no doubt, and subscribe. But I love the whole family aspect. Yeah, the whole family aspect I think is pretty dope too. It's a family affair. I love that. I love that whole aspect of it.
We need you to get us to do a jingle. You know what I'm saying?
Hey,
put it on in the beginning.
If you listen,
you know
if you got some Australian dollar dues to send my way, I got you. You know what I mean? You know.
Man, dude.
But Danny,
that's all I got. You know, that's the only way around.
Right. It's the only way I rock, you know. But listen, Danny, our surprisingly tall brother, what will you be up to? Where can people find you?
Surprisingly tall. He's like a Viking, bro.
I swear.
Well,
got that long hair.
I'm Scottish.
You're fucking like you ain't messing around. You see? I know it.
A couple hundred miles separated. Yeah. So you can find me at my Twitter of Daniel J McG, or my personal YouTube channel of just Daniel McG. I've just posted a link in the chat so you can find me. Just put up a video recently talking about the casting for Superman Legacy. I'm pretty excited about it. I'm currently working on a video about sort of explaining how Game Pass works, because I'm still shocked that people don't seem to understand it. And I'm thinking about also maybe doing a video talking about the rumor that Gal Gadot might still be Wonder Woman into the DCU and why I think that's probably an awful decision. But I haven't decided on that one yet. So if you have an idea for a video that you would like me to do, go ahead and tweet it at me or DM it at me. I'm always open and receptive to any idea that people send my way. I generally get to those videos before anything else, because I know that there's at least one viewer for it. So feel free to reach out to me on any platform, and please subscribe.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, that whole Gal Gadot thing, by the way, it seems like that might not be the case. It seems like
I really hope not.
Yeah,
I'm really not thrilled about the idea.
She said it.
She did, but it looks like
she was the one out here talking.
She said they claim that she's in good hands and so on and so forth. But now it seems like the reports are coming out that there will be no Wonder Woman 3. So,
oh damn,
yeah, it'd be interesting to see.
Maybe they're just going to regulate her to being Wonder Woman in other people's movies.
It could be the case. I don't know.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, she showed up in The Flash, so maybe that's just her spot now.
Maybe they're building her back up to she gets her own solo movie. I don't know. DC had the way they handled their characters. I thought was just poor. The way they handled putting him out there.
The DCU was not handled well, and the DCU. I trust James Gunn to get the job done, but so far a lot of the things he's been saying are very confusing, and I wish he would be more clear about them. But that's a whole nother conversation, and someone's got to get to work.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But listen, I want to thank all of our guys here in the chat. Gray Monad, Yodani Kuzada, thank you guys for being here to mod. I'm not sure if Shooter showed up, but if, much love to Shooter, because he might be under the weather a bit, but much love to Shooter. And thank you all in the chat for being here with us tonight, man. I mean, we went over by a good amount. We saw a 3-hour podcast tonight. 3 hours 17 minutes right now to be exact. But man, it was worthwhile and fun. I absolutely love the conversation. Yeah. And for myself, you can find me on Twitter, Infinite Umbra or Umbra Infinite. You'll find me either way. And you'll find me, of course, on Xbox Factor on Tuesdays with Daniel McGee and Retri, who unfortunately his mother passed away. So our condolences to Retri, our brother Retri. Much love to him. Absolutely. And I do want to talk with him and personally and send him that. And of course, here on Thursdays at 8 o'clock and Friday tomorrow on the Xbox Infinite podcast with myself, Risk It for the Biscuit, Jedi Knight Peter. So come through and show us love for that tomorrow as well. But thank you guys in the chat for being here. We're going to get out of here.
I mean, that was woo for chat, not because we're leaving.
Oh,
that was guys. Get out.
All right, guys.
No.
Later.
Woo for the chat.
Woo, yeah, there we go. Woo, chat.
The timing was very bad.
See you guys.
It's like a teacher saying you're dismissed.
Yeah.
Bye.
Later,
Friday.
guys.
See ya.